Two, love it.
Ooh, I mean, 2 years, but there's a whole lot more history behind this than just 2 years. In fact, Downey Unified has been doing esports programs for 6 years. That's a pretty long time, especially considering the strong rise in esports that has happened over the last 10 years itself.
Yeah, 10 years specifically since COVID, really big time as well, and these schools are hopping all over. We'll be talking about this all throughout the day, but guys, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, you're a middle school player here on the day, I got some fantastic news for you. The Downey Unified High Schools have been doing this for 6 years. I think I counted that right. 6 years they've been going forth and doing this, providing these young people more opportunities after middle school, but before college.
And I mean, that's so important considering the, once again, rise in esports, the rise in STEAM, kind of academics as a whole, and the ways that esports can lead to a career. That could be something that like Tugboat and I are doing. That could be something that is like doing art for games, doing rigging for games, doing coding for games, even marketing for games is a huge thing. As you're probably going to see some Lightning McQueens up on the stage, and that's not just talking about the team that's named themselves after the Lightning McQueen.
Yeah, what a laundry list of partnerships that Rocket League and Epic have been doing over the past few years spans, just little mom and pop names like Coca-Cola and Ford and Fast and the Furious and Stranger Things, and we'd be here all day if I was going to list all of these out. As you mentioned here, esports is not new whatsoever. The Downey Unified School District, that'll be 6 years within the high school side and a couple years going on here. We even have a little bit of story here coming into you guys from our previous year's competition as well, with the two teams up here on stage. But first, Becky, of course, we got to go through. We got to talk about some of the people that do make this possible. You guys just heard from Mr. Alan Zach himself of the Carrot Group. Very, very appreciative of them having us come on in here and bring this competition to you guys. Now, I wanted to give a big shout out to some of the school employees and whatnot. They're helping here to make this possible as well. Downey Unified Board of Education and the district admins. We're looking at Superintendent Dr. John Garcia, which I believe we heard from a little bit, Becky.
Yep.
Looking at the Assistant Superintendent Roger Brosmer as well, Director of College and Career Readiness, that is Mr. Alan Tyner, Chris Nezer, and Ashley Catanzano.
Yeah, very great to mention all of these names. There's so many more, and we're going to be talking about a lot of these names as we go forward, as a lot of these people are also coaches for a lot of these teams. So going even further into school principals, we have Allison Box, Scott Fleming, Connie Quintero, Kathy Estevez, as well as Neil Gonzalez, Marlon Espina, Sandra Martinez Espendola, and Elizabeth Chacon.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Lori Vingino, and so many more people, including, as you mentioned, the Carrot Esports Group and Steel Series Esports.
Yes.
So going into, as we just mentioned, Steel Series, we got some prizing to talk about for today. I mean, we know that y'all are all here for this beautiful large trophy in the middle, but there's some other sweetness to come along with it.
That there is. The beauty of this competition, Becky, is that these players are going to be rewarded for fantastic play themselves and individualistic prizing, but also the schools themselves going to be taking home some cash from this championing squad. So the school themselves going to be getting $1,000, one and then 3 zeros, folks. They're going to be able to go forth and use on some of this esports hardware for their labs and for their kids. The individuals, though, not even talking about the trophies right now. You can see them spread across the stage right here in the front in the blue. The individual is going to be taking themselves $100 in gift cards from who else but GameStop, Becky?
Ooh, I mean, they are one of the biggest names in games. And as we get into some big names in games, we are taking a peek down at this field for our first match that is going to be Stauffer versus Griffiths. Now, to put it lightly, Rocket League is going to be soccer with cars.
Yes, guys, if this is the first time that you are looking and gazing upon this amazing competition, then essentially, again, flying car soccer. It ain't much more complicated than that. Best of 7 series going down right now, folks. We have alluded to it constantly throughout our intro. This is a little bit of a grudge match, a little bit more than just a picture into the finals here. There's our previous two teams as those two.
Ooh!
And our first, the Griffiths going to swoop on down and put a point on the board for this yellow squad.
Yeah, Griffiths not wasting any time here. They have a grudge against Stauffer, who took home the trophy last year, and they're already showing us that they did not come to mess around with this first point here.
Absolutely, an early lead here, about 20 seconds in. Another pop play, and Griffiths have done it again in about 25 seconds. Insane stuff here coming through from the Griffins.
Wow, I mean, they have a whole lot happening for them here, as that took, as you mentioned, no time at all, and already up 2 points, and it is going to be a first to 4 here. So Griffiths already 2 points from bringing themselves into a place where they will be competing for that very large trophy.
Listen, Becky, this is Griffiths and Stauffer. They went to battle last year, and Stauffer, those are the ones that took it down. Griffiths playing like they have not forgotten that. A nice shot up. That's going to get blocked off by the Griffiths defense.
Yeah, very nicely done there. I mean, Stauffer really starting to come online here, really starting to hold the line, making sure that they're not letting Griffiths have as much control as they have been having, really holding a lot of airtime there before dropping back down to the ground, giving the ball into possession for a moment to Stauffer before going back over to the side of Griffiths. Really close to this orange side Griffith goal, but they're going to make a nice recovery here.
Well, this Griffith squad is absolutely chock full of athletic players right here. It just simply makes sense that they get aerial with it, and they get aerial with it early. 51 right here for Stauffer, pitching up to it. Plenty of boost, but it gets it taken away across the mid-pitch. Stauffer still playing with one back right now as Lightning McQueen takes to the skies.
Yeah, really holding in the air for as long as possible there. It really allows you to cross over the map in quick time. A great recovery there. Stauffer is going to try and sink it, but they're not quite going to be able to. Really holding back towards the middle of the map here.
Now, a little fakie off the wall, comes down, gives it to the teammate. This is a great progression from middle pitch on into offense, and now a shanking play down bottom, an easy demo, and then a complete whip across the middle. Possession now given up. Stauffer coming back down the other way, down bottom, and that's going to be a blocked away shot right there. They're in early now. A little bit more pressure on the Griffiths, but they are cool, calm, and collected, Becky.
They're looking very strong here coming out of this side of the map. Orange really just doing a great job of pushing back. Stauffer has made a great improvement from those first 2 goals, really doing a great job of pushing back on the aggression that Griffiths is bringing, but they're just not able to get anything back on their side of the board just yet.
Not just yet, but don't count them out. Now a great job by centering this one up. A couple players. This one's going to hit against feeling down bottom. Everybody there. And the Griffiths have done it thrice.
Thrice indeed. So you all know when to cheer. You saw it happening. The lineup absolutely beautifully done. The pass up high. Griffiths find themselves 3 and are looking so strong. Stauffer might just be locked out of this if they can't get a little bit of aggression back into their favor here.
The cheers have started here for the Griffiths. They know what happened last year, and they know just how close the Griffiths are going to bring themselves to a Game 1 win to bring in this series on home. Single elimination here as well, folks. Little pop play up and over. A double commit on the defense is going to send this ball flying on into the corner. Picked up by none other. Be champ one right here. Popped up into the air. Another effort here from Stauffer to keep this ball aloft, and it's going to be a takeaway from the Griffiths.
Yeah, very nice transfer there and moving the power really back over into pressuring Stauffer's side. But they're doing some nice passes here, really utilizing a goalie situation. Unfortunately, a step forward will be doomed for Stauffer as Griffiths find themselves 4, and with a minute 15 left on the clock, this might just be the time that Stauffer needs to work for communication and how they're going to handle the next match.
Yeah, 4 scores in 80 seconds is a rough ask right here, Becky. I think I have to agree with you. Maybe getting 1 on the board right here for Stauffer would be more of a mental game for them right now. A fantastic effort, a flying shot right there as this is just foisted wide right. Now Stauffer's Spartan numero uno sends this one back on down to the middle. Plenty of boost to be spoken with, and that's a double commit there from the Griffiths defense.
Oh, trying to go up high to keep possession here and keep away from that goal for as long as possible. So a good rotation coming through there, passing that between both the players. Unfortunately, that does end up going right into the clutches of Griffiths, as they're just trying to keep Griffiths from rubbing salt in the wound as much as they can.
Yeah, 30 seconds to go right here. Again, this might be more of a mental factor on top of this last goal, but Stauffer bringing it out!
All right!
He's gonna get on the board. There will be no sweeps in game numero uno.
And that's just the moment that you need if you're Stauffer. You're trying to pick apart how Griffiths is playing this game, their aggression, the way that they're passing, things that are working for them, and trying to make these adaptations. If not for this game, then for the next game in the series.
Absolutely. Putting one on the board right here proves to not you and your teammates that you too can get it done. Another double commit on the defense right here from Stauffer as the Griffiths. There's going to be playing time right now. We are officially in garbage time, people. Off the ceiling right now. Don't tell this player the term garbage time. And that's another shot down bottom. Missed on this and still hits ground. And we got 0-0. So the Griffiths take game number one.
And very nicely done from the side of Griffiths being able to gather that first one. We hear Griffiths going loud for their players, and very nicely done. I mean, we talked to these players, and they mentioned that they were really trying to focus on improving a lot of their basics as a team, and it seems like that's something that is going very well for them after watching this first match.
Sat down with Coach Sandra Espandola, right here. And she was able to give us a minute of her time and kind of talk about how this team has gotten here. The coordination that you just saw on display is 100% a factor involved in this competition. Game 2 taken to the Forbidden Temple.
I love the intros into some of these different maps. It's also just going into the artistical aspect of a game like this. It would not be nearly as popular of a game without some of these artistic elements.
The aesthetics.
It's so important.
Really is. We talked about some of the sponsorships, the partnerships, sponsorships that have been going down with this game thus far. No lack of that, no lack of geographical coverage here as we got maps from all around this beautiful world, even a couple from space as well, too. So interplanetary map capabilities within the great game of Rocket League.
And a whole lot of greatness coming out from Stauffer. They're a close shot coming through, but not quite able to make that connection as the possession goes back over to the side of Griffiths.
Now 4:27 on the board right now. No scores on boards quite yet. Not for a lack of trying thus far. That's going to be a nice pop up and over, but Stauffer's got that defender back. Looking for this one. Little nose up on this. A double commit, almost a triple commit right here. So if we're looking for minor mistakes, Becky, minor mistakes, it's the fact that the Griffiths has been sending so many players into defensive positions that a single player can get done.
Yeah, I think that's got to just be a little bit of an overcorrection, wondering about that last goal that Stauffer was able to make in the previous game and how they're attacking this time around.
Yeah.
And as we see, Stauffer able to make a very nice rebuttal and get themselves kind of 2 points in a row across 2 games, but off to a good start in this next match.
Yeah, a lead is a lead indeed, no matter how you get there, Becky. Stauffer putting up point number 1. Now, I think we've heard plenty from the Griffiths in game number 1. If you think Stauffer should go forth and get this game number 2, let's go forth and hear that, folks. Stauffer fans, where are you at? Okay.
All right. You gotta be loud for your teams if you're gonna want to see them take this one home. And Stauffer is the reigning champion, so they have a whole lot riding on this game. Though Griffiths, a little bit of a grudge, as we mentioned. They did come in second last year, so I think that's why we're starting to see the level of defensive strategy. Both of them have so much to gain from this one. The corner is not going to be enough to qualify there. It's so close, and we're trying to just push this all the way back to the opposite side of the board. A ping-pong motion between these two teams.
Once again, another double commit, even tripling up here for the Griffiths. This offers opportunity, but a great stop there. The Griffiths defense showing up in the nick of time in the 11th hour, snatching the victory right there from the jaws of defeat. Now a little bit past halftime, about to be up to halftime as of right now. Stauffer still up by 1. A low-scoring game here in game number 2.
Hey, maybe Stauffer, we're just like, we're going to give them a little bit of wiggle room to start things off, but really we know where our strengths lie, and that comes in some of these longer games. And so far, the possession of the ball has been double-handed between both of these teams. So it does lead me to believe that they're making these adaptations, that they're going through this level of communication and really just trying to make adaptations after we saw that first match.
Absolutely. I got to sit down with a couple members of this team that's of the Griffiths. That's Hussein Farhat and Hunter Diaz. They were talking to me about just how much traditional sports have come up as the dunk gets slammed. These basketball players showing up on the Rocket League pitch.
And showing up in a different sport, but hey, enough of that carries over as the ka-chow rings out across the screen, and we are coming in strong. Now this is where it starts to get tense. We have a 1-1. 2 minutes still left on the clock, though, and Stauffer coming in strong to quickly shut down everything I'm trying to say.
There's those Stauffer fans we were looking for before. Now the Griffiths, they bring it back to the tied situation for all of about 5 seconds, Becky.
And 5 seconds is going to have to be something that they use to their advantage going forward if they're going to try and keep the lead that they've been able to start after that first match. And they have the ball in their possession right now, so that could be something that they're able to hold on to, if only for a moment, as the Spartans quickly move across the board and slam straight into that goal.
Fantastic stuff. Now, as we know, a lead of 1 is no real lead indeed within the great game of Rocket League, Becky. Lead of 2. Now we're starting to talk.
And a minute 40. Both of those goals made in impressive time from Stauffer. We talked so much about the first ones that were able to be strung together from Griffiths in that first match. And this time around, we've got them coming just as quickly from the side of Stauffer. We have got a series on our hands with high scores for both of these teams.
That we do. We were originally thinking, if you remember, having the best of 5s. Well, this continues going this way. We will have a best of 5 boiled down from that best of 7 series. Griffiths taking game number 1. Now a solid pass to the middle, and no Stauffer player is there to pick this one up. Now across the middle, where are the Stauffer's offense? No, only one player there with opportunity. Now a pass back and forth, and a back hit right there for the Griffiths as they try to get this ball back to the middle pitch.
Ooh, I mean, that's where we're seeing a lot of that teamwork really coming into play here, as Griffiths able to keep it from sinking into their goal. But Stauffer, their 2 offensive players, doing their very best to push it back into the Griffiths goal, but we're just not finding a lot of success as everyone from the side of Griffiths has fallen back to make sure that their defense is up to snuff.
Yeah, Griffiths back fender hit right there after picking up some boost, but Becky, in just a few seconds, we're going to reach a point where the Griffiths realize that they're going to either lose by 3, lose by 1, lose by 10. It's all the same. They're going to have to open up that can of offense and pour it all right there and just completely negate the defense, especially after Stauffer hits them again.
5 points now. Now they're exceeding the amount of points that Griffiths was even able to score in the last one. And we still have 30 seconds to go. But, I mean, we can talk about it very similarly to how we talked about the first match. Griffiths had a strong start, and we got to see Stauffer kind of working towards, once again, communication, making sure that you're able to pinpoint where your teammates need to be to stop the onslaught that Stauffer is bringing to the table.
Offensive onslaught has not stopped here for the Stauffer's aggressive players. Griffiths been forced to play a little bit of defense the most recent minute or so, and they will be continued the offensive pressure. Again, said it before, say it again. Loss of 5, loss of 10, loss of 1. It is all the same within individual games. Griffiths player coming diving into this one, trying to cut away through this rotation. Now that's a really good shot and pass on over to the left side.
Oh, a lot of air knocking between both of these teams here. And it's just going to be a battle to see who can move faster, quicker. And for match number 2, that's going to be Stauffer, who bring us back to a 1-1. And already, what a great series we're seeing from the 2 teams that made it to the championship last time.
There you go. They got the fans over there, and they got the player heads on the sticks. I love that this is where we live now within esports. I love that. Absolutely love that. It seemed a little maniacal when it first started popping up a few years ago, but now I am 100% here for it.
I mean, we got to see the mascot coming out earlier, too. I mean, it's called esports, taking on the name of sports for a reason. Yep. And that even goes, we keep talking about communication. We keep talking about a lot of the action that these students are having to make. And that goes into one of the strengths and things that these coaches and these teachers have said they love about esports, which is talking and working together as a team that allows for these students to really come together, make new friends, make new connections, study in a normal school setting better together. There's just so much that can be gained from being in a community, be it sports or esports.
Absolutely, absolutely. Continuing on that conversation, Becky, got to sit down with the Griffiths coaches. That is Sandra Espindola and Marlon Espina. Now, Becky, as we know, there's a whole gymnasium. Could not say enough about Mr. Marlon Espina as a member who has worked at all 4 of these schools so far, all right? Done the absolute circuit right here for Downey Unified School District Middle Schools, and when it comes down to coaching, that's Mr. Espina. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah. Oh, a great start here from Griffiths. And I mean, we're talking about Marlon Espina, who's worked for all of these schools, and we asked, so how do you feel about your team this year? And he was like, Griffiths. And that was all he needed to say. So far, they look like they're coming in strong, but we did see a good rebuttal from Stauffer in the last match as well. So I think things are only heating up more and more from here.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be surprised at a school like these Griffiths when they have coaches, Sandra Espindola, Marlon Espina. They're both players themselves as well. A lot of experience within the fighting game community, the FGC right there. I believe we had some Tekken as well as some
Smash Bros.
Smash Brothers, that's what it was. Yeah, Mr. Espina had put on the whole Smash Brothers competition, right? The whole tournament. Yeah, that's right.
No, it's so great. You can even go between all these different games, and each different game has something different to teach you, be it some of those fine motor skills, be it some combos that you have to put together, be it teamwork in a game like Rocket League especially.
Both teams opting here for a one-player back type situation within our trios. Now one of our first demos in here as well. Don't worry, guys. They'll be back in a couple of seconds as this is sent postward.
Ooh.
Now coming up to it, but again, another double commit on the offense. This only results in Stauffer players hitting against each other and no real advantage for the Stauffer offense.
And a quick movement back and forth between both of these teams. And a quick pullback, as you mentioned, but this time it at least goes into the good hands of that first player from Griffiths, really keeping it locked down and trying to make sure that you're really holding on to that airtime to keep it in your possession for as long as possible.
No, absolutely, Becky. Time of possession, that TOP is the name of the game right here. All the way through. They say the defense wins champions. Well, that's American football, people. This is Rocket League. You simply got to make shots to take points.
Ooh, this is going to be an interesting battle here as we finally have it just kind of in a dead air there for a moment, but quickly goes into the hands of Griffiths. But we are on their side of the board, so we're really fighting to push back towards Stauffer's side, but a great piece of movement there from that goalkeeper is going to keep things moving back into the middle of zone.
Champs one right here for the Griffiths coming up and trying to get that nose off the wall earlier. Now a little pop play right here, comes back down, and a fantastic stop. The Griffiths defense shows up yet again.
And this is the back and forth that is so important. 2 minutes left. We're about halfway through here, and this is still anyone's game. As you mentioned, one is not so much to be ahead by, and we are hovering around Griffith's goal here. Could this be the place where Stauffer even it up?
Yeah, defender right there for the Griffiths, as we see, only had about 23 boosts right there. That is not enough to really make a fantastic defensive play, and that's outside as Stauffer ties this one back on up, Becky.
All right, this is what we were itching to see. We've seen 2 smashed games to start things off, and now even third match, this is going to be the one where we start to see who really is holding on to the strongest mental above all else.
Absolutely. 100 seconds to go. Tie ball game. Round and round we go. Where they stop, we don't know here, people. Nice takeaway, though. This is the beginning of a Griffiths offense. Another shot right there, but that's going to be missed as Griffiths opting to hold 2 players back right here, leaving a solo offense and only 1 player to try and get the job done. Now back down bottom. Another double commit right here, but that's going to be enough for the Griffiths to take this one out. Back and forth. I love that. Bounce plays against the wall. That's going to be past 1 right here. The dunk coming in, and that's going to be a big demo.
Oh, all right. Being able to make sure that that explosion works to bring possession back into the hands of Stauffer here. Unfortunately, this aggressive play has no one to pass to, no one to follow up with, and we're going to see if we can get it done all on our own. But a good defensive movement from the side of Griffiths is going to keep it from sinking a goal.
There is really no measurable skill difference or difference in ability based on what these players can do so far. I think that's the writing on the wall as to why the first game was 4-1 for the side of the Griffiths, 6-1 game 2 for the side of the Stoppers, and now while we are on the hair's breadth, right on the cutting edge of our first overtime situation, Becky.
Yeah, this could make it even more tense than I was already starting to feel like it was. And this could be the moment that it breaks. But unfortunately for the Griffiths, Stauffer making some great defensive maneuvers and then a quick blitz to go towards the other side of the map. Unfortunately, not able to get through completely. But with 8 seconds left on the clock, one of these teams has got to be really aggressive and just go for it. But it's not going to be the case. And we're going to go to our first overtime of the day.
Last bounce first overtime. Let's get it going. The cross play, the X's of players right across the middle right here. A nice shot. Stauffer going forth, going to be able to get this one out a little bit. Now an even better demo across the middle, but Stauffer actually gives up possession throughout the thick of things.
And a quick upside. Unfortunately, we do miss the ball trying to make a recovery here. And once again, it is one aggressive player from Stauffer being shut down by the full movement of all 3 Griffiths players, trying to keep it in their possession as long as the ball is on their side of the board. Strong defensive maneuvers, but it seems to be working for the side of Griffiths in what Stauffer have brought and made adaptations to after that first game.
Nice whip around here, and then the abandon of the ball to allow the teammate to come forth and hit that, Becky. If that had been both players going again, we would have resulted in another situation where these 2 players hit each other, nobody making contact on ball.
Yeah, very nice adaptations. A great save to come out there, too. That air almost going catastrophically. 2 very nice hits coming out from the Griffiths players here. But we are still in anyone's match. It's not going to be just these great plays. It's going to be great teamwork that's going to allow for them to get these goals.
Absolutely. Both teams, again, opting for a more even balanced situation. One player generally taking that offensive role, one player playing middle and going on with passes and takeaways, the other player playing more of a defensive role. We've already seen that defensive player get demoed a couple of different times right here. And as we hit 100 plus seconds, said it before, round and round we go, do not know where we're going to stop.
Yeah, it seems like both of these teams are really trying to hang in for the long haul. A very nice air hit to come through there, trying to pass it to that first player who's hanging out on opposing sides, trying to push it into that goal. But a quick rotation back. Honestly, props to the side of Stauffer for getting as many players back from the offensive side onto the defensive side in the time that they did.
Nice shimmy shake right there from Spartan 2 for the Stoppers side. Bouncing plays and a stretch right there on the defense is going to be able to get there when everything's said and done. Bouncing balls over to the left side and picking this one up against the wall after picking up a side boost. There's 5 shots and 5 saves there for this Griffiths player.
Movement, trying to figure out who is going to have possession here, and it looks like Stauffer is going to just give it up to the 2 Griffiths players who are holding strong there, trying to sink it into the corner, narrowly gets avoided. Dangerous. These pushes back and forth are so tense, and Griffiths still making sure that they're keeping their side of the board safe.
More than half of an extra Rocket League game played here just in overtime, Becky, as these two teams, somebody is going to have to shift and crack eventually. 3:11, not just a band on this is going to be the time on the board. Back down, and Griffiths have done it!
Very nicely done. A long game from Griffiths, but it's not a sprint for these players as Griffiths' patience is able to bring them their second match here. And that's going to be where we find ourselves halfway.
Hey. There you go. Yeah, just about halfway there. We saw the flags for Hussein. We saw the flags for Hunter. I got to sit down with both of those players, kind of get a little slice of the mind. That's so awesome. That's so awesome. So as you mentioned, Becky, a 4-1 in game one, a 6-1 in game two. Like after the 4-1, you think, okay, well we know how this series is going to go, right?
Yeah.
This is that number 2 team from last year coming back with blood on their minds, right? That bloodlust. And then game two, a different story completely, a 6-1 back the other way. And now we get more than half of a Rocket League game. In overtime, we just don't know where the series is going to go, folks.
Yeah, and I mean, once again, there is a storyline here between these two teams. Defending champion, an opposing side that's trying their best to make sure that this year they can be the reigning champion. So far, Griffiths look like they're doing a strong job of getting themselves into that position.
Absolutely, and guys, we're going to try and get y'all a little bit more involved. When there is 10 seconds left in this game, I'm going to need you guys to count because I'm bad at keeping track of seconds, okay? Can I have you on that one? 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go right here. Shot down bottom, 4:33, and that's a hit. And 1, 2.
What a good save.
3 players for the side of the Griffiths combining for that defensive save.
I mean, hey, if it takes all 3, but it keeps you from having your opponent score, you got to do what you got to do. If this air is going to be enough to once again fend off this Stauffer aggression, then Griffiths once again showing that they can play a long game into their favor.
Hit down bottom left. Champ 2 going to sit behind on this one. There's the demo onto the defender, though. That's going to be numbers advantage for Stauffer. And the Sharks may have been in the water, but no bite this time.
Oh, once again, as you mentioned, another demo to come through there that is going to eat up some of this time. And Stauffer are going to find themselves a break in Griffith's defense.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So tell me if you sense a theme here, folks. We see Stauffer come out after you saw them kind of communicate after the brutal Game 3 loss. And then it's 2 offenses back-to-back that have come off the back. A lot of offensive pressure. The results from an initial demo right there. The second one just happens to find payload.
Oh, and once again, very close there. Unfortunately, that ricochet not going to go in Stauffer's favor. That's going to be something that they're going to have to shake off and bring their mental back up as they push the ball once again in this back and forth of the middle of the map.
One of the wildest, sharpest angles I've seen on a close shot.
I was going to say.
Not going to lie, I was amazed that either didn't go in or didn't land in a place that a player could have made it a play afterwards. That's going to be another one right here as Stauffer back and forth. Griffith game 1, Stauffer game 2, Griffith game 3, and now Stauffer coming out swinging in game number 4.
And Stauffer looking so strong. You mentioned it. They're really finding their rhythm here. And I mentioned that they were going to have to try and shake off some of the negative energy that comes with a narrow miss like that. And they're showing that they're not even concerned about it. And really kind of just letting the ball hang in some of this dead air here. Not really worrying about it as long as it's not in possession of the opponents. They don't need to worry about doing anything too fancy. And perhaps I spoke too soon as Griffiths do find themselves one here.
That's a hit right here, but this is going to be an own goal, unfortunately, for a Stauffer member. Credit goes, of course, on over to the Griffiths. So, hey, Stauffer's just had, again, so much of that bloodlust.
Sometimes you get a little too excited.
Exactly. Goal's the goal. That's what Stauffer's saying.
This time, though, they're going to see if they can exceed this goal a little bit more. They've scored so many already. They might as well get a third/fourth one up on the board here and exceed their lead and try to wipe away some of the mistakes of that last goal.
Exceed and lead. Stauffer coming out of swinging. The last game was very, very close right here, but Stauffer, after taking advantage of a mistake here, and then after goals in the first right there, just something gets set up completely, and the second one gifted on over. Two players bouncing up. That's going to be corner and out, and nobody from Stauffer is there to follow up on the play.
Oh, all right. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of a game crash here.
That happens.
It does. I mean, I feel like it happens to me every other day, and that's why I say that I lose my games. But, you know, we are going to work to get this reset back up for not only you, our viewers, but also for our players. We know that they're sitting in these chairs very tense in this moment, especially in game number 4, where we're starting to see Stauffer come back into this and go back into this equalizing momentum.
I mean, well, that's the thing about even-numbered games always, right, Becky, is that a team is going into that guaranteed with some sort of advantage. Now, the even-numbered games are either games where they break away or when this even lead is right back to it. Back on into this one. Big shout out to production staff, all the folks behind the scenes over here on your stage, making sure our jobs as casters is that much easier, and we do appreciate you.
Appreciate them. Appreciate our players who are giving us such a treat of a match to watch here as well. And Stauffer, now, once again, we mentioned that they are not they don't need to knock the ball around as much. They need to keep it in their possession. They need to make sure that it is just as far away from their side as possible and just let their lead speak for itself. They're playing strong defense here since they are in such a lead. And this is a rough place to try and play defense from, but that was a very nice hit over back into the middle of the map by Spartan 1.
Now centered up right here. Champ 1 for the Griffiths, getting something over on the side now. Teammate going to be waiting in the wings for a potential pass or more. Now a shot down bottom, gets it past middleman. Last player back, the goalie forced to come up. This is pretty well centered. That's a hit back towards, okay, Griffiths member is able to get there and break up this play before it really does some damage, Becky.
And that's what they need to be doing. They're doing a great job of holding down the fort. Unfortunately, it's really difficult to find that corner pocket stopping point, and Griffiths just narrowly not able to stop that one player there. But that was such a nice shot to come out from Stauffer, who it feels like every time that they start to run away with the game, they're just breakneck speed.
Absolutely. What? All gas, no brakes. That's the Stauffer motto over there at that middle school. At least that's what they told me. 60 seconds to go here, and Griffiths pretty much right now, actually, it's going to be pour it all into offense time. A loss of 10, a loss of 1, all the same. But if you want to come back, if you want to get those 3 scores to put this to another overtime, it's got to happen off the back of 3 members on offense.
I mean, we've seen Griffiths score some quick points in a lot of those previous rounds that we've been able to see. We just need to see them start to string those together. But Stauffer doing a great job of trying to make sure that those players are sandwiched and not able to get as much of that momentum and back and forth movement to be as unpredictable as they need to be.
Yeah, and once again, a shot right here is not so much. These are higher level Rocket League teams, Becky. Generally, the first shot that is made onto these, not going to happen. Now count with a 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Stauffer is going to be able to equalize once more, bringing us to a 2-2-2. Best of 7. I mean, when we started saying best of 7, usually when you go up to that many games, it's because you anticipate it being a complete stomp. Yeah, absolutely.
And both of these teams are showing there will be no stomps to be had. We're here to show you some great games. And some great games we are having. We've had an overtime. We've had some great plays, some adaptations from players. Being able to think on the fly is so important in this game. And I'm loving seeing what these players are bringing to the table and their ability to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just saw over there as well, I believe that was a Griffiths member. So they're switching players out as well. All students over there getting a little bit of playtime under the lights and sounds here on LAN. A lot of these players, Becky and I got to sit down and talk with a lot of these players as well, and a common theme that we saw from a lot of these players, from a lot of our questions, was that this is a lot of these players' first actual live competition. Their first time sitting down behind the computer under the lights and stars and whatnot of our stage with all the pressure and whatnot that comes along with it.
I mean, that's a huge amount of pressure. I don't even think I ever competed in any kind of, well, normal sport or video game of this caliber until I was out of high school.
Yeah.
So the fact that this is something that they're getting to experience at such a young age is really just going to help throw their passion forward. And that was something that a lot of the players mentioned to me as well when we were talking to them.
Yep.
It was such a great thing to help motivate them to continue to work with other students, as well as just form new bonds. And it's beautiful to see those coming into this competitive setting as well.
Absolutely. Big kickoff this time is going over the way of Griffiths. Now Stauffer immediately answering that, coming flying out of the goalie box right here. A solid little hit now comes up for it.
Oh, beautiful shot to start Stauffer off.
Stauffer has done it again. These are early goals to set so much of a pace for these games, Becky.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen, once again, we talked about it last match. We've seen some fast goals from both of these teams, but the last 2 times that Stauffer got fast goals, they took victories. So this bodes well for the side of Stauffer if Griffiths can't make a rebuttal.
Oh, speaking of wild, the long ball right here. They're going to have to put some extra postage on that one next time if they want that one to get delivered all the way. Even coming up for the last tap right there, not necessary, Miss Becky.
Not necessary at all. And we're starting to see Stauffer make these shots past 2 members of Griffiths. And that's going to be an even bigger ordeal. Griffiths
Absolutely.
has made these defensive strategies kind of come through for themselves, and that's been how they've been able to hold on for as long as they have been.
Yep.
And now if Stauffer is starting to get through that, we're seeing layers upon layers of adaptations from these teams, and we're going to need to continue seeing it.
And see, that right there, what Becky just said, people, it is the massive difference between you going with your friends, no matter what age you are, hopping online and playing with a couple of friends. Yes, the communication is there. Yes, the good times are had. Yes, the coordination is there, especially when you hit these high-flying, really skillful goals and whatnot. This right here, though, this is the difference. These sorts of adaptations that are possible from 3 players, 4 players that have been playing with each other for an entire semester, some of them even from last year, and with coaching staff, and with support from folks just like you. This is what happens when young people have esports capabilities put directly into their hands.
And so far, Stauffer making a nice show of it. Griffiths, though, trying to bring the pain. Quick movements from Stauffer, though. Great movement, putting things back onto the Griffiths side here. This is such a tense back and forth. Griffiths knows that if they get 3 points behind with 3 minutes left, it's just going to be so difficult for them. So they're putting a lot of focus into being aggressive, which is a stark difference to the defensive maneuvers we've seen them be working with in the last game and a half.
No, absolutely. Again, saying the defensive adaptations and maneuvers and whatnot from both of these teams have been stellar.
And a shot through 3 players!
Through the thick of things right here. Don't throw me in that one. That's going to be A-OK from midfield as well. Even getting the undercarriage on it as well for a little bit of a hit. See, this is what we are looking for from the Griffiths, because as we look across the past 3 games, take game 1, that's a 4-1, that's amazing, but it's not recent Rocket League. Only 1 goal scored in game number 1. Only 2 goals scored in game number 3, and only 1, the loneliest number put up in game number 4. This is Griffiths, at least showing that nobody's going to get shut out here today.
And beautiful shots coming from these players, trying to make sure that, sure, it's a team game, but we'll have a few hero plays here and there, try to get these players into this spotlight here as the movement back towards the middle of the map. Stauffer doing their best to keep the pressure on. Once again, just putting a lot of focus into keeping their lead held. And movements from the side of Griffiths, just putting a lot of energy and a lot of dedication from multiple members into hanging close to the ball here.
Always got to know about your positioning and placements. Defender still sitting back, just waiting in the wings, waiting for this one. Communication comes in. Defender comes out a little bit, but not too much. The demo is going to come then, though. We've seen Stauffer and what they've done earlier. Oh, a brutal hit from the teammate right there. This is the perfect opportunity for Stauffer to have this one set up. They get the demo. They have ball in a good position, and they have boost. But then just a tiny, tiny little mishap, and Stauffer's offensive opportunity has gone the way of the dodo.
Oh, and a slow push now, but possession holding strong for Stauffer once more, just trying to make sure that they are the ones keeping possession, keeping time in their favor, trying to go forth and make the shot, but it just doesn't come through. Teammate going for the shot on the opposite side of the board, and Griffiths will be able to get themselves this 2-2 score line to match their 2-2 match score.
Set them up and knock them down. That is a ka-chow here for the Griffiths. My goodness. Looking a little bit like our game number 3 right here. There's no massive point differential between these two squads here, even late in this Rocket League game.
And now it's kind of do or die for both of these teams. As you mentioned, overtime on the horizon. A little over a minute left, but this shot looks so clean. Unfortunately, it's a little high, but the quick turn fixes it up nicely for Stauffer. And
a bunch of offensive opportunities here from Stauffer, and finally, even again through 3 members, the Griffiths Griffiths can't quite block this one away.
And Griffiths now, ball is in their court. I mean, it's in everyone's court. We know what we're doing here, and Griffiths certainly do as well. Deciding to give that one over to a different player to have them go for this long scoring shot. Unfortunately, it doesn't stay as it goes back into Stauffer's hands. The high score tries to come through, but it's not going to be let through as neck and neck driving. Who has more boost? Who will be faster? And who's going to be able to keep possession of this for longer?
Speaking of possession, that's a solid takeaway followed up with a demo, and the Griffiths might be on the brink of something beautiful here, folks. Pop play up. That's not going to have anything but a hit against the wall. Bouncing plays and foisted way out of here. You're going to have to check left field for that one.
Oh, we'll see if we're going to be able to knock that back into the middle of the board. This would be a bad place for Griffiths to get scored on again, as you're saying it, people. A narrow game for number 5 that ends up going Stauffer's way in that countdown. And that's, I mean, we saw one overtime game, but that one felt close. That one felt neck and neck, and you could tell Griffiths was gritting their teeth and trying to get themselves a point and get them to that overtime situation. Narrowly unable to make it happen, though.
Yeah, that is as close as it gets right here. This is as close as it gets. And what we always look for, Becky, is like market improvement from these teams as they're going throughout this competition. And hands down, you can see that all the way through. The Griffiths were really playing a very, very hard-handed defense right there. Now they're sending their defensive player out, and their middle player it's not just all about that solo member up at the front, offensive onslaught coming from one player. On the other side, this Stauffer squad has learned the value of demos, straight up.
All right, so talk about those. Like, you're saying demos, we mean demolitions. Talk about what that means to people who are not so familiar with Rocket League.
Absolutely. So there are no eliminations. There's nothing else like that within Rocket League. All there is when you hit supersonic speed, which means that there'll be lines coming out of the back of your car. It's as fast as you can go. If you run into an opponent, not a teammate, if you run into an opponent, then there will be a demolition, and that player will be respawned randomly on one of the two sides of their side of the pitch. Important to remember, folks, they will also be spawned back with 33 boosts as well, which is plenty for any of these players to get defensive opportunities going.
Beautifully said, and extremely important for you as viewers to continue to watch out for. As Tugboat mentioned, they can really turn the tide of a match. But speaking of turning tides, Griffiths seem like they're coming back into this match with a vengeance. They've got a score to settle and trying to keep Stauffer off of taking this series.
Once again, folks, you are looking at number 1 and number 2 from last season. Stauffer went forth, put down the Griffiths in those finals. And now Stauffer is playing like they definitely remember that. A little bit of fakey right there to give this one over and a continue opportunity for Stauffer's offense.
Yeah, it looks like Stauffer is trying to make a lot of passes here. Unfortunately, that second player is not quite able to make it into a good passing situation. So it is going to go back over to the side of Griffiths here, but a lot of air. Anyone's ball here, just trying to see who can make those pops up to managing this ball and possession. So close to getting through the top of that goal there, but narrowly not able to make it through, and it goes back to the center of the board.
Yeah, that was about as close as it gets, and this one yields no goal, even though that double tap came so close. Double tap came so close, Becky.
It was extremely close, but I mean, that's got to be something that you're happy to see from the side of Griffiths. An even game at least feels that much more attainable for you if you're a team like Griffiths. Staring down Stauffer's match point here.
Yeah. This is such a tough situation to be in here, Becky. Match point, lights and sounds, almost a double tap. No! Stauffer takes one off the top here and takes the lead in the game that matters most.
Yeah, scary position, but a great steal coming through from Stauffer players. Griffiths trying and potentially being a little bit too close to one another and not allowing for those passes to make those greater distances, and Stauffer just having a nice moment to capitalize on it.
3 minutes to go here. The back shot right there is going to be able to set up a teammate to run down the right side, and Griffiths players want nothing of it right there. They've shown that they can get this ball out from their defensive third with huge clears, Becky. There's no reason to do anything else, really. Like, once you get into the offense, like, go. If not, come back. Simple as that.
And it seems like Stauffer is on board with your thought process here, trying to keep it simple and not let this go in any direction that isn't going to be favorable for them. But Griffiths really just trying to dig in their heels here, really put the tread in these tires and see if we can get ourselves an equal match. But it's so hard for them to try and move this over to their side of the board. And I gotta give it to Stauffer's goalie, who has made some very impressive saves.
Absolutely. It can be an underappreciated facet of this game. It is not the big flashy, like 5 assists per game, 3 goals per game. Exactly. It never is. Rocket League, hockey, soccer, or football, the goalie never gets the credit that they deserve, folks.
Or if the goalie does, it's the defenders who get kind of left behind. And it's always you always kind of admire the flashy offensive plays. And I've even been admiring some of them in some of these shots that have come through. But it really does make a team sing when you have strong defensive capabilities. And speaking of strong defensive capabilities, Stauffer is putting them in full effect as Griffiths are just really trying to make this not be the last match of this series.
The 80-second drill right here, the classic 80-second drill coming on in here for the side of the Griffiths. They're going to have to get something done right here, and Champ 2, probably the defender, is going to have to come out to at least play that more of the middle of the line position.
Oh, a good movement over towards Stauffer's side. Griffiths trying to apply as much pressure, trying to keep it onto and towards that goal as much as possible, but it's just narrowly not able to make it. Stauffer continuing to just pull in this strong defense.
Nice pinch against the wall right here for Stauffer's offense to keep on the pressure. Now a beat situation to the right side, and Griffith's going to be able to win this one. Pick up a big boost along the way. This is looking dangerous. And it's in! And it's in! 31 seconds, and the Griffiths have tied it back up.
All right, this is what you needed to see from Griffiths. This shot that puts them into a range where they can either exceed in 30 seconds or go into overtime. Either way, Stauffer is no longer cresting, taking this series home.
No, they are not. The Griffiths right here know that that's only the first step right here, and they would love to take it. Oh, no!
Oh, Stauffer! Maybe they were just trying to hold the fort for as long as possible before, but when they're trying to be aggressive, that's such a difficult shot to break. Very nicely done from Stauffer, but that puts the pressure back in on Griffiths once again.
Absolutely. Once again, they're not gonna. There you go. That's champ 3 right here. Now champ 2, kind of playing the back position a little bit, but gonna have to pull the goalie, just like in hockey. This is a back pass that gets demoed out. The last few seconds here, Stauffer gonna have to get this one away over to the Griffiths. That's 1 bounce, 2 bounce, probably last bounce coming in here. Once it hits 000, there'll still be opportunity.
Oh, it's still in the air. There's still a moment here. But it is going to be Stauffer, the reigning champions, and the team going forward into the championship game once again.
Absolutely. Hey, take a look. Your champions here of the semifinals round, as we see elation, just absolute joy and emotion cresting across our field. Folks, fantastic game on this one. And we just got granted such a close series here, Becky.
It was a close one between these two teams, and I mean, Griffith knew that they were coming in and immediately having to play against some of the best players in this entire series to start things off. And great to see good sportsmanship from both players here and both of these teams. I mean, what a great match to start things off. It's always hard to know what to expect coming into this, but I'm already just so excited after watching that first one, and a big GG going over to Griffiths. And I mean, do you have any final thoughts from how those matches went other than I'm so excited to see more? That's like all I can think about right now.
I mean, you talked about unpredictability. We went all the way back and forth from like one-sided affairs to incredibly close as it gets. Folks, we're going to be getting this next semifinals match set up for you. We'll be back from a very short break in just a second.
All right, how was that for starting off the evening? What a game! Let's give it up for Griffiths again! Griffiths! And how about the defending champion, Stauffer? In the championship again. Can they make it?
where some Rocket League action has been going down all day. I'm FBI Tugbutt. I'm here with Becky. And Becky, what a first match. What a first matchup.
What a first match. I mean, we got to see the reigning champion Stauffer defend their title and with great prowess. Yeah. I mean, we got to see Griffiths come in strong. I mean, there was blood in the water. They knew that they were facing down their rivals from last year and even this year. But Stauffer came with new tricks up their sleeves and took down that first victory. And now we're going to see who we're sending into the next match to fight against the defending champion in Stauffer.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Then we'll be looking at Sussman and Downey here after a Game 6 barn burner. Becky, it was so back and forth in the first. Game 1, 4-1 for the side of the Griffiths, 6-1 there for Stauffer, and we're just back and forth with very, very close games, even some overtime after that one. Again, I have no idea where that one shook out, but it was Stauffer taking it down in the end. Now, the question arises, do we think Downey has like that home field advantage here, given that we are in Downey Middle School?
I think it's totally possible. There's certainly like a level of kind of comfort that I think is especially important in kind of all sports.
Yeah.
But I will say, they've done up this gymnasium so much, and you're playing on like computers that were brought in for you. Like, I have to imagine that there's enough elements that were changed about this that even if you're like, sure, this is like home field, it's not really the area that you're playing in regularly the same way that you like play on the field that you're going to play your football game in. So I think that while there is an element to that, I don't think it's as strong as it is in normal sports.
100%. I think maybe the virtual side of video gaming might be kind of part of that as well. It's like, you know, you don't own Manfield United, right?
Yeah.
You don't own Champions Field and whatnot. Everybody gets to play on these, but all of the guys, I just want to take a second and just shout out the crowd. You guys have been just splitting decibels out here literally all day long. If we can get a hand for the crowd going, I really appreciate that.
I would yell, but I don't want to yell.
You guys have like been making this just so awesome so far. I want y'all to keep that same energy here for our next semifinals matchup.
Oh yeah, the energy is going to have to at least match the energy that was happening in that last match, so I'm really going to be relying on all of you up in the crowd going into this next one. I'm extremely excited. So we got to talk once again to a lot of the coaches, we got to talk to a lot of the players, and we got to really, especially from Doty's coaches, hear about how impactful they think esports is in allowing people to just have a good community where they feel safe and they feel like they can improve, because in a lot of ways sports don't allow you to make the same level of improvements, whereas the barrier to entry for esports is just so much lower that anyone can do it. And a lot of esports can even just be to have fun. It doesn't have to be competitive. And sports can be that way too, but once again, that barrier of entry level just being so much lower allows for a level of accessibility that just makes it something that is pushing it forward so far into the future and as we go on.
Yeah, that's such a good point, Becky. See, what she's getting at right here is that, like, I, at 31 years old, can go hop on any video game out there. Now, if I don't do so great, that's okay. Becky, I'll let you guess the last time I took to the basketball court to play with some of my friends, especially given that some of my friends are spread out all across this great nation.
Ooh, I would say at least, it's probably in the last 4 years, I would think, but okay, the last 4 years are not like the best metric considering the things that the world has gone through. Yes. But that's something. We're getting to see players who have been playing together online, who can play together online going forward, and who get to play and test and work on their skills anytime, any place, anywhere, basically. And that's why we're able to see such a kind of back and forth start already between both of these teams. No goals scored yet, but that doesn't matter, as Sussman have actually done a great job of holding a lot of their players together to kind of ferry the ball back and forth. But this is just a level of aggression and kind of fluid play that we weren't getting to see so much before. That's so close. Okay, I was about to say there's no way that this doesn't end up being a goal, as Sussman are the first to break net here.
I gotta say, these sidebars, crossbars, and top bars have been doing all kinds of crazy
They've been doing some weird things.
Weird things, just wonky things, wacky things. The angles at which these balls are coming in just don't make mathematical sense. That one hangs out there for the entire Ice Age, it seems, right there. But now a minute into this one, Sussman with a mild advantage.
Yeah, so far so good. Doty's now going to be the ones to try and take aggression here. This is the first time we're getting to see a Van in this game, but I love seeing a little bit of the different aesthetics that some of these players are trying to bring to the table here.
Doty now with one but two players on defense, and now gotta have to come out from here. Ops not to, and pressure continued against Doty middle. Another middling hit right here, but that's not going to be enough as Sussman comes screaming into that one. They have a song and they want to sing it.
And there's a lot of just players swarming the ball. This is a very different style of play from what we were seeing in that first match of Griffiths versus Stauffer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a lot more reserved, but also a lot more aggressive. We're seeing Doty come in with a double defense situation. Sussman come in. What is defense?
Woo!
What is defense?
Yeah, what is defense? It allows for Doty to take one in and go for a 1-1 score line. 3 minutes still left here between both of these teams. I also got to give it, somebody has a Pumpkin King tag, and now that I've gotten told that my hair is pumpkin colored, you know, I got to shout that out a little bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Big shout out to our producer making the calls on the day on that one. Sussman now out from the outside, playing something off of the ceiling right here, and a middling shot, a fake as well for Sussman, because why not, Becky? They know that Doty is not going to come out of these so far, so why not take the entire middle part of the pitch and make it your own?
Yeah, once again, talking about adaptations. We talked about it so much in that first match, but we can continue to talk about it here as we're starting to see it unfold in this one against these two teams. And so far, great job of just trying to go into these back and forth motions, but a lot going forward, pushing towards Doty's side of the map. As Sussman not really going to be able to knock. Oh, they are! Okay, I thought for sure that Doty had secured that rebuttal, but they're not able to stop the quick air movement from number 3 there on Sussman's side, who sinks that one in.
Absolutely fantastic shot right here. Given that Sussman players have been getting this offensive going so far, and a 1 kickoff as well. Now a 1v1 coming up to it. The Doty quick clear right here as members of Downey now looking forward to come out, get something going on the offense. Middling play right here as this ball bounces back center. Solid shot that's not fully centered right now. And that's going to be a little bit farther to the outside.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a spooky spot to be in as well. Pretty close to Sussman's goal on that side as well. But the quick movements from Doty and the defensive Sussman players are able to bring it back towards the middle of the map once more. And a lot of airtime being held on here. Narrowly just ticks the top of that goal and is not going to go in.
And we're looking at an open net situation.
Oh,
Doty inside for the tying factor.
Beautifully done. You said it. The aggression from Sussman. Again, very different from what we saw in our first series. Once we saw a team get ahead in our first series, they played very defensively. They tried to hold on to their lead. Sussman, they're aggressive every single time. And we got to see Doty really get to take advantage of that.
Yeah, they really do. Now another hit back. That's a back pass here to ES12, our signature defensive player, but more on their plate to take bites of, as that's another double commit onto the offense. Sussman going to be centering this one down, and that's a fantastic clear for Doty.
Yeah, 1 minute left. You got to see it up on that screen. 2-2, so a potential for an overtime here. but it looks like Sussman trying to be aggressive once again. Unfortunately, too far to the right. They're trying to make sure that they can center this ball, but they just keep going a little bit too far on either side between these teams, and it's back onto the side of Sussman. The pressure is back on with 30 seconds on the score as well. It's going to be Doty's goal to come through, and that's going to be some nice shots. Doty finding themselves a lead here.
Yeah, I believe that was Nizak right there, putting the O in Doty. I really hope that's how we're pronouncing it.
I'm in for it regardless here. And we're getting to see, once again, just aggression all the way around. Our players really trying to give you a treat of some breakneck speed on these cars here. 10 seconds left. Let's get that countdown in 8,
7,
5, 4, 3, 2. Is it going to be enough? It is going to be enough with 1 second on the clock. We're going into an overtime between these two schools. I mean, I thought that our last match was a strong start, and I'm just continuously being proven wrong.
How about that for a photo finish, folks? When I say that, not quite. Pop up, can't get under that though, and we do officially go to overtime, folks. Now, our last time we visited overtime, Becky, that was 3 minutes and a half or so?
Yep, it was. We'll see if it's going to be the same story this time around. A great stop on that pass there and almost able to go for that sink, but very nice defensive plays once again from the side of Doty. And now just trying to see if we can hold that ball into possession. But this is such a tense back and forth between both of these teams. And they're just trying to make predictions about where this ball is going to end up, trying to see if they can sink it. And it is going to be enough for Doty to take down this first match of the series in overtime. And I think we did see 3 out of 4 of those goals go ES10's way.
Absolutely fantastic. Now, the transfer of players are now. There's Doty. There we go. Let's hear you guys. I knew y'all were here. That's a fantastic overtime finish in game number 1 right here. And also, it's going to break this one down a little bit more, right? Because what we're looking at, Sussman, who's up from a 3-1 scoreline at a certain point right here. And a lot of times, a lot of Rocket League games, you'd be completely written off at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely true. And I think that that's one of the things that doesn't get talked about so much in esports or talked about in sports in general is the mental aspect. Yes. You have to be able to make those adjustments on the fly, but also make sure that you're not letting, oh, this game is doomed, kind of overtake all of your thoughts. And beautifully done from Sussman to even keep themselves and get that into an overtime situation. Also, just a beautiful final goal with 1 second left on the clock. I've said I was excited for this match, and I'm somehow more excited after watching the first game.
Absolutely, be hard not to. Game 2, taking it on into the Forbidden Temple. Who will come in here and run away with the Game 2 W? The tying factor from Sussman would be fantastic. A second game for Doty might ultimately lead at the end of the series. Now an initial demo right here. That's going to be Doty losing 1. Doty with a shot. Nope, no other player there. They had been demoed. But now a right corner back to the goal right here. Nice cutaway right here. So this is going to be a lot of back and forth action even early.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see it last time, and it feels like last time it took a long time for us to finally get at least 1 goal onto the board. But then once that broke, we were seeing a complete blitz from either side of the board. And demos all over the place. I think that's 3 demos that we've already seen. And that's crazy for this fast into a match, but Doty really just trying to put a lot into this attacking and goal scoring players' hands.
So 50 seconds in, at least 3 demos thus far. This is also harking back a little bit here, Becky, to a situation that we saw between these previous 2 schools, Stauffer and Griffith, where one team just kind of realized, hey, if we have the numbers advantage on the pitch, why not play that as often as we can?
Yeah, it is a place where we still just need to see Doty break the ice here, but it's still anyone's match. Sussman could be just as likely the team to make it happen. We've seen them be able to make the scores when it matters, and at 0-0 now is as good of a time as any.
Absolutely. Now, hit down bottom. Right side as of right now. A little bit of back and forth. That's a solid hit. Last bastion of defense, and Downey does it again in game number 2.
And that is the icebreaker that we were looking for. Once more is going to be this scoring aggressive player from Doty, beautifully able to get them off to a strong start. And the ball is once again in Sussman's court, trying to see what they can make happen. And so this is a tense place to be between both of these squads. And Sussman just trying to see if they can keep control of this ball for as long as possible. But struggling to a little bit with the defensive action from Doty. We know that one of these players has been playing strong, aggressive gameplay, but that means they've got 2 other players there to hold the fort and hold on to this goal for as long as possible. And Sussman just feel like they're struggling to keep the ball on to Doty's side of the board.
Now, speaking of Sussman, on a little bit of a run right now to the outside, tries to come up from under it, not going to happen. Back on out to a corner.
Ooh.
Game number 3 right there, but Doty gets a much better hit to the outside. As I say that, back down, waterfall situation, nobody there to meet it.
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, they had some really good air. They made some really nice passes, but it's just not able to make that sink that is going to put a score onto Sussman's side of the board. But with 3 players now all together trying to make this aggressive crescendo come through, and it's just slowly being dismantled by the side of Doty.
That really is. This is just like the death of 1,000 cuts right here, Becky, because once Doty gets fourth here and gets actually into the aggressive position, immediately the demo's going to come after that. Speaking of spending the last couple of bits of boost, a major fake right there, but Sussman bites regardless and takes advantage of this. Shot up and shot in for Sussman.
All right, the cheers coming through for Sussman, getting to an even score line. The shot that mattered, the shot that needed to come through. And Sussman find themselves even once again. But we got to see a pretty tight and even game the first time around. And Doty really just make strong refusals when it comes down to the wire. We'll see if they're going to be able to do it once again.
1:18, 1:17 the clock as of right now. A pinch off of the wall, but this goes, no, Sussman player 1 comes back for it with no boost as well. Nice little takeaway right here. 60 seconds to go.
60 seconds as you mentioned. And Sussman just trying to be really technical about this as much as they possibly can. But Doty, honestly, their aggressive defense, as much as they've been able to hold 2 players back, is just making it so difficult for Sussman to break through and be able to find that little bit of wiggle room that they need to score.
Yeah, what, a score difference of 2 or more seems like a thing of the past here. Definitely, if you're Sussman, they are not finding the same advantage they were able to deploy all across game 1 until we got to the last minute or so, plus overtime. Now, Doty member demolished. This is going to be Sussman taking out the goalie for just a couple of seconds, but unable to get that ball back on and over. We are 12 seconds away from halftime.
Oh, we really are. And now with 10 seconds left on the clock, we are pushing hard. Is this going to be enough for Sussman to sink it? It hits the corner. Can we just hit it with the knockback? 1 second left, and it's unfortunately going into overtime before Sussman can sink it.
Holy moly. Everything in a bag of chips was done from this defensive player to get there, get into position, and completely purchase this overtime situation. That was an open net.
Oh!
Sussman coming back on this one.
I was about to say that situation where you have 1 second left on the clock, you're holding it in the air, you're trying to go for the flip to knock it back, you're trying to look like you're really cool, bend it like Beckham moment, and just not being able to make it happen. Thankfully, though, Sussman's getting the cheers because they were able to secure that one in OT.
Absolutely. You see that in the little corner in the top right here, Sussman. They got fans, they got players, and they got the skills to pay the bills right here, Becky. A fantastic comeback. Once again, a best-of-7 series boiled down to a best-of-5.
And what a start once again. The back and forth that our players are giving us. They're just young talent. I got nothing else to say. Young talent and some great coordination that is happening. And that's just one of the things. It's the fruit of the labor of trying to cultivate a strong and friendly competitive setting.
Taking on a look here. Speaking of a strong, friendly, competitive setting, how about a tied series going on into Game 3 in DFH Stadium, folks? A floating stadium in the middle of a cloud city, basically, like this mega super cyber city from the future right here. Trophies and more with all the countries of the world participated in various World Cups across those years, represented across the top. Downey, Sussman, who will take this one? I don't know, Becky. I don't know.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's anyone's game, and I think aside from the people who are cheering for their respective schools out there, I would say that everyone feels the exact same way as Downey really trying to hold down the fort once again, but that van just struggles to get up there and stop that goal from coming in. And so it is going to be Sussman to start that one off, and a quick start here into game number 3.
But so the van does have that larger hitbox. Frequently they will be positions of defense, but they also have a little bit of detriments, and that's what we see on display there for Sussman's first goal. Now hit over, cornered out. Downey sends this skyward. There's going to be a pass to the middle as another Downey player over, but that's going to be a little bit too high and wide on this one. Rounding round, Sussman players put this in a very dangerous and precarious situation. Another shot. Gotta get the nose up on this one and can't quite get there.
That was a great steal and some great passes there as well, but it is going to be Sussman trying to line this shot up for that player in the middle. Unfortunately, it's moved a little bit too far over and does end up hitting that post, so it's going to be a reposition here to try and push back towards the middle and go for this goal. But unfortunately, Downey players able to push the ball up high and put it back onto Sussman's side of the board, as defense is going to have to come forward, go for these demos. That's going to give Downey some breathing room.
Yeah, breathing room now purchased. Downey tries to get this one out, but not going to happen. Easier said than done. The fake into the head. What did I just see? Sussman player right here. The complete fake. Let's watch this one again. Goes under it intentionally, waiting for the teammate to come forth and take this one.
That's a beautiful little 1-2 punch. Write that one into the book for Sussman, and Downey's going to have to watch out for more plays like that.
Yeah, seriously. Just the mind games, Becky. We talked about that earlier. I think that's really showing that head yet again, showing that face and showing up here within that competition. 3 minutes, 19 seconds to go. Nice defensive stop right here. Sussman now facing the pressure of offense.
And this is going to be an interesting situation here, as we do get to see both of those Downey players, and kind of that shining player who scored a lot in that first match goes down to a demo, and that reset could be costly and does show up here as Sussman score themselves the third one and put themselves well ahead in this third match.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. 3 minutes to go, a goal per minute, and that's just to tie it up, Becky, given that they haven't put anything on the board. Not for lack of trying, but have not put anything on the board so far. This is the Sussman squad that we saw.
Whoa, all right.
I wasn't saying anything. I wasn't saying anything bad about him.
I mean, that's a point, a quick one at that. The 1-2 from that high-flying scoring player of Doty to try and claw back into this match. But there's still an uphill battle for Doty to take this point.
Now a hit off of kickoff right here, gonna be picked up, and now a weird hit, not really getting the full brunt of that top angle on top. Sussman, 2 players come back, 1 player forward, getting this one going. Doty, 10 right there, gonna be able to hit this one out. Really dangerous, precarious positioning here for Sussman. They know it, beat to the corner, and are just trying to clear this one out, Becky.
Oh, all 3 players of Sussman going in an aggressive fashion to push the ball over towards the side of the field that keeps it in Doty's side with pressure. But unfortunately, when you push all of your players towards one side of the board, that leaves it wide open, and possession just seems to be really flowing for Doty here.
Speaking of possession for Doty, gets it past 1, now down bottom, and there's nobody to answer the door.
Oh.
Yet again, the lights are on, but nobody's home for Doty.
Yeah, an unfortunate slow rotation coming out there. That could have been the moment that Doty needed to go for a score, but Sussman is trying to close this door, lock it, and shut it closed.
No vacancy here at this end, folks, as Sussman puts another one on the board. First 2 games going to overtime here, Becky. I think the writing is on the wall for game 3, though.
It's looking pretty Sussman-oriented here, as Doty is going to try and see if they can come back. 1:40 left. But it's going to be a really tense set of maneuvers that are going to have to be very exact if Doty's going to come back in this one.
Yeah, 2 Doty defensive powerhouses sitting back as of right now. A triple commit onto the offense for Sussman, and that's going to immediately give away possession. Now a hit down back. And now that's centered up yet again. Big boost in hand as Sussman Gamer 1 takes to the skies. Believe Nizak yet again. Okay, a hit over to the right side and just back and forth. But the thing about Doty is they gotta know time is not on their side.
Yeah, and so that's gotta cause them to go for a lot of these really aggressive plays. But it's hard to make these aggressive plays when you have such a dedicated defense player. You can see that Sussman doesn't really have that. They're playing as 3. They're playing with this kind of to-the-wall aggression. And Doty, they just don't have that. So finding a lot of these goals is really reliant on 2 players instead of potentially being reliant on 3.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. Something they may want to examine further in on like later games and stuff like this, because 30 seconds in, this game 3 is all but decided. A Herculean effort required, and that got a lot easier.
Hey, I mean, okay, that's a good point for Doty. They have 23 seconds left, and one of the other points that we did see Doty score was one that happened within the span of like 2-3 seconds. So, hey, if we can string a few more along, we've already seen some 1 second left on the clock scores, but unfortunately this quick pop-up from Sussman I think diffuses a lot of the aggression that Doty needed in this moment.
Yeah, so a score right now, and then at least a 1 second kickoff will keep the dream alive here for Doty. But like sand through an hourglass, this game 3 is over. Might be a 4-3, might be a 5-2, doesn't matter. Sussman gonna be taking it down in game numero 3.
And with fiery fashion, they take that one 2 in a row for Sussman, and they're looking very strong, halfway to being able to go into that championship game. But again, we've already seen close matches. We've seen some great adaptations. We did talk about one that we could potentially see from the side of Doty in changing if we decide to have a dedicated player in that defensive position. It's always hard. It feels like a great decision when you're going into a game, having a dedicated defensive player, especially when in the games before we saw such great kind of attacking aggressive potential from one of those other players. But the moment that starts to fall apart, it really does. And so it's interesting to me that we got to see that in such full effect, because we didn't really get to see a lot of the position emphasis in previous games. But I'm excited to see if Downey continue to stick to their guns and go with that strategy forward in this series. But so far, it looks like we may not even have to worry about it, especially if we're going to see that scoring potential and power. Once again, a very nice air shot coming through there.
Nicely done, Downey there. Come through here for a nose down shot. And that's going to be an early advantage for Downey in a situation they really needed that, Becky.
They really did. And it does look like we are seeing, once again, that defensive strategy from Downey. And, I mean, now it seems like it's a great decision considering that we see Downey off to a quick start, making those beautiful shots to start things off as a demo really does a number on Downey's squad here, but a good save from that defensive player.
Gonna be setting the pace here as that's another hit. Now leaning back down bottom, and Sussman, it's going to be their turn to have a solid shot be put up and nobody on the other side to come forth and get it done. That's not a problem that Sussman has dealt with before and not a problem they're dealing with right now. Defense, they don't know the name of the word when they're this close and personal on the other side.
Ooh, every time this ball gets popped up, it feels like it's anyone's match. But Sussman nicely able to make a recovery there, put the pressure back onto Downey. But unfortunately, that over the goal is a little bit difficult to recover from and convert into a goal.
Speaking of, there's a little bit of success earlier for Downey. Nothing here for Sussman since. We did get a chance to sit down and talk with Mr. Neil Gonzalez over there, the coach here for Sussman. Been a teacher, of course, for many years, 5 years or so, working with English and other English programs within the language department. This is going to be their second year within esports, although Rocket League being the main competitive esport that they're playing.
Oh!
And plenty of other games involved, the club status here, Becky.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I got to give props to the people who have such fortified esports and gaming clubs, which it sounds like Sussman certainly does. I mean, when we were talking to their coach, he mentioned that they have a total of 10 different teams. And hey, if you've got that much gaming going on at your school, you're going to come in hot. And Sussman scoring as we sing praises for the gaming community at Sussman.
Absolutely. Mr. Gonzalez himself, more of like a solo campaign player, right? We talked a little bit about Cyberpunk. We talked a little bit about Red Dead Redemption 2. Really, though, man joined up here because he felt like it was a good way to incentivize these children not only to get involved with their school, but get involved with each other, right? Communication, teamwork, and coordination. These are foundational cornerstones of good businesses and good employees.
Absolutely true. And trying to see if we can see that come through from these Sussman players, see if they can make the coordination necessary to get this other goal. Unfortunately, that demo really kind of sinks a lot of those plans there, and that does put the pressure back on Downey, trying to make sure that they hold down this fort as much as possible. Thankfully for Downey, that was a high shot that didn't end up going in their favor. That corner is not going to come through, though. So it's still a back and forth set here as Sussman holding on as much as possible, trying to just put pressure onto Downey's side, but they keep getting that pressure, and in it, they're all going for the ball, and then all of a sudden, if you're all trying to just hit the ball away, you're hitting it into an enemy almost certainly.
Yeah. The big problem with this as well is that any hit that you get is not going to go on over towards a teammate. All three members, and I feel like that's been the case of the only goal that wasn't scored in the first 5 seconds or something. It came off the back of coordination. What a save there from Sussman. No save actually dedicated for that one within the game. An absolute robbery there. No points awarded. Oh, man, oh, man. The rounding round shot down bottom. This lands in front of this goal, and Downey just doesn't deal with it. within a timely fashion.
Yeah, that's a place where I feel like we've previously seen Doty do such a good job of playing that defensive position, but right place, right time for two of those Sussman players who come out on top there.
Now that was a Noah for Noah player exchange, I believe, here for Doty. Two different players named Noah, and now hopping in between goals as well. Everybody wanting to get all kinds of extremely varied experience here. But that's Doty with a tying factor yet again, folks.
Yeah, that save almost coming through for Sussman. 2 goes for that leap, pushes it, but unfortunately not able to push it past the goal. 53 seconds, a tense minute remaining here for these two teams.
Yeah, seriously, it was an 80-second drill earlier?
Yeah.
It's a 50-second drill now. The same game is being named. Gotta go forth, gotta take one. 2 would be beautiful, but you gotta take one at least. Sussman. Also, if they drop here, they will have squandered a lead that has already happened in one of these league matchups already, Becky.
Yeah, Sussman also, it seems, even though we're at this tense situation, they don't relent. They are full aggression every single match, and that allows for them to push forward here.
You said the word break to a Sussman member. They haven't learned that word yet here,
Not in
Becky.
the vocabulary.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. That's a 9th grade word, apparently.
Even Neil Gonzalez, great English teacher.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to push that away, but
yeah.
breaks in the esports community, not in there.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Shot down bottom. Doty, again, watching the grains of sand fall through this hourglass. That's a solid bit of pressure, but Doty's got to get on the other side of the pitch. They got to get there now.
5 seconds.
Oh, this is good setup, and nobody's
not
there yet
even
again.
air to hold it, and it's not even on a side where Doty could go for a score, and Sussman secure themselves 3 points in game number 4.
Mr. Neil Gonzalez right there. Oh, no. He had to tap up himself. The player's right there. Oh, you hate to see it. You hate to see it. Hey, that just really goes to show just how good quality this esports hardware is, because they couldn't hear anything on the cans. That's the only reason why that one happened. That's the only reason that one happened.
It's so difficult. I mean, I feel like this is a very reverby gymnasium, and I feel like I can kind of hear myself, but I also can't hear myself at all. And it's a really weird dichotomy. And that's just something that a lot of these players are having to experience for the first time as well. I've done enough of these that I'm kind of used to it. I'm sure some of these players are just so thrown off by the atmosphere that that's adding a whole new element to it as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not just here in person. It's also in a particularly reverby type of gymnasium where all the sounds, all the caster noises, as well as screams from you guys coming in here and having that effect, all bouncing off the walls.
Yeah, I mean, you add a level of excitement. I mean, everyone here is already excited. The players are excited. You add us in on top of it, and the energy just keeps going up and up and up. And the energy better be going up for Doty, because they've got to come in hot to this match. Sussman are 1 match away from going into the finals to play against Stauffer, and they're trying to make it happen sooner rather than later.
Yes, they are, Becky. Yes, they are. Doty member comes spinning, twisting, and tumbling, and that right there, with 2 players in the same corner, is the problem with a double defense. Doty goes down by 1 early, but as we've learned before, Becky, lead of 1, no real lead indeed within the great game of Rocket League.
And, a narrow shot coming through there. We're going to see if we can get this recoil back, but some nice saves coming through from those Sussman players who seem to be everywhere at once.
Really does. 40 seconds to go. A shot on over to the right side is a little bit wide here for Doty members. Sussman, beaten feet, everybody getting there until you get the cutaway play, and that was a really dangerous situation for Sussman. Demo down. What's going to be a Sussman defense negated by 1 for a couple of seconds. The respawn has come in a little bit too high, and that's a block for Doty.
Yeah, very nice block indeed, trying to just move with this ball back towards the other side of the board, but unfortunately that airtime really messing up that Doty player from being able to hold on to that possession. A quick move back into the defensive position and trying to just push back towards that center fielder.
Speaking of, this one breaking past center field, an open net, and Downey has tied this game back up. Match series point, and they're playing like it.
Ooh, I mean, they better be playing like it. I mean, I'm holding on to my breath at every single one of these moments, watching where this ball is going and holding on to see who is going to take this one home. But there is so much riding on this match for Downey, and it's an unfortunate follow-up score to come through very quickly from Sussman there.
Yeah, so this is Downey down bottom. This is a hit and a great block attempt. You gotta come in and play these regardless. The way I look at it, Becky, this is an open net situation. This is a guaranteed goal the other way.
Yep.
So you gotta make a play regardless. The cheers coming in along with stomps and claps.
All right, that's the energy that we're going to need to see for both of these schools. It's still anyone's match. Sussman is trying to bring the pain, and Doty's just got to see if they know enough about the medical field to keep themselves in it to win it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sussman on a bit of a runman. Now going to be getting up and trying to touch that one. Not going to happen. Defense looking dangerous. And now this is rounded back, a single demo right here. But this is the problem with getting these demos. You're essentially setting the other players up back on the other side and with 33 boost.
Yeah, and so quick movement back onto Doty's side. The defensive player is able to push it back on to Sussman. So we're trying to go for these air plays, but these corners are just doing absolute numbers on the Doty players who are trying to make these scores.
Solid pressure, solid offense. Sussman continuing this one. And now that's going to be a solid demo to set up some offense the other way. An unlucky respawn. Of course, the respawns, it's random. The only act of randomness actually within the game. That's going to be a little bit too far to the outside, but Sussman's still lurking and waiting.
Yeah, back into that defensive position, trying to make sure that we're set up to go for those pops and make sure that we're able to make those defensive plays, as there's just so many cars flying into the air here, trying to be unpredictable, trying to see if Sussman can just pad their score a little bit. But it is going to be so much more difficult. Once again, you play the aggressive game, you leave your goal open, and Doty sinks one. Yeah,
so Sussman player trying to get vertical on this one, can't quite get up to it. And now we got 97 seconds to go. Doty takes this, they continue their run and keep the dream alive for them at home field. Sussman takes this is over, and we gotta have a Sussman and Stauffer finals.
Yeah, that's on the horizon here, but still a point where Doty are just trying to hold down the fort. Now at 2-2, it is pressure on their side to make this happen. Unfortunately, though, Sussman able to make a nice pop shot, and we're just not able. This is an unfortunate physics moment. Yeah, the extra surface area of that truck is really nice to make some of these defensive plays, but that's now, I feel like, the third or second time that we've seen this truck just not be able to get enough air to make that defensive maneuver. And I mean, props to Sussman, who've been able to make that many up-high plays and come back into it. 4 points now, a minute left on the clock, and we are on the precipice of a Sussman-Stauffer final.
That is knocking on the doorstep here of defeat. Unfortunately, Downey only has a little while longer, but with the coach inside the coaching hands, Miss Elizabeth Chacon, Miss Elizabeth Laura Vingino. These are two coaches that is not exactly their first rodeo, and another of the many members. Oh no! I was going to say, another of the many members that have gone forth and given Mr. Espina like a huge shout out after they have gone forth. Mr. Espina has worked with all 4 of these schools in some capacities, teaching, esports, otherwise. But that might be the nail in the coffin here for Sussman. For Doty.
But hey, they're really trying to keep us on our toes. If you're going to say nail in the coffin, we're going to say, is there like a technical name for the part of the hammer that removes the nails?
I actually don't know.
Somebody tell me after this match if there is. I'm unsure. But that's what Downey have brought. They're trying to make sure that they stay in this, and they're not ready to go down without a fight.
I love it. It's like the cartoon. Like one side pounds the nails in, the other one grabs the hammer and pulls them back out. It might be called the claw. Don't know. 30 seconds to go. That's what I do know between Downey and an unfortunate series lost. That's going to be initial block away, but Downey has got to get into the offense, and they got to get there now.
Oh, no.
Lurking, and that's too far outside. Downey stays alive for right now.
For now, 13 seconds. It's ticking down. There's so much riding on this match for Downey, and we just got to keep this going for as long as possible. But there's no way with 1 second left that we're going to be able to bring it, and Sussman are going into the grand finals.
We got an all-S grand finals here, folks. Stauffer taking on Sussman for their share of $1,000, as well as a lot of cash money to go spend over there at GameStop. That's Mr. Neil Gonzalez and the Sussman squad there on your screens for just a couple of seconds. Now there you go. There they are again. There they are again. What a fantastic matchup. What a fantastic matchup. Yes, a matchup that only went down to a 4-1 scoreline, but incredibly close it was. I mean, pretty much all the way. This last game, the 3-5, was only a score difference of 2. That's the biggest score difference that we saw in this matchup here, Becky.
Yeah, and I really do have to give it to Downey. I mean, we got to see some great plays. As you mentioned, none of those games were a stomp. They were close on both sides. And I think that passion has to bleed through. We got to talk to the Downey coaches a lot, and I really admired the amount of passion that the coaches there have for these players, for what they're cultivating at that school. It was really inspiring to hear that they really, even though they themselves are maybe not as super into video games as a lot of these kids are especially, but they still saw it as what the future holds and what is going to be the brightest future that is full of the most happiness for a lot of these kids. And it really warmed my heart to talk to them and see that there are a lot of these coaches and a lot of these teachers who are genuinely caring about these teams.
Yep.
And it's been beautiful to see and talk to with all of these schools and all of these coaches. And it certainly has to be there for Sussman as well, who are going on to that final match.
Yeah, fantastic shout out to Sussman. Talking about Downey, I thought it was so interesting because we were talking to these two coaches, Miss Laura and here Miss Elizabeth. Jesus, it's been a long day. And they were actually talking about like kind of a mentor program that they've had set up with the local high school as well, just right down the road. And some of these players who actually played here at Downey Middle School are coached by these players. And so it's not just about what these players can go and can do. They're literally seeing what they can do on the next level right there, folks. FBI Tugboat, this is Becky. We'll be back with you guys in just a minute.
All right. Wow, another exciting match. We have our championship. Let's give it up for Sussman, who's going to have their hands full because they're playing the defending champions, Stauffer. We're going to get the championship started right away. But first, I would like to bring up the principals of Stauffer and Sussman. Come on up. Let's go with Stauffer first.
All right, how we doing, everybody? We feeling good? All right, well, I want to take a moment, and I really want to thank our coaches, Coach Michael. Our students have had so much fun throughout this whole entire process. It's such a great opportunity for them to be creative, to have that outlet where they can work together and teamwork. So thank you so much to Alan Zach and esports. What a great opportunity. So Stauffer, are we ready to bring home the trophy again? What do we think? All right. Also, a huge shout out to Downey Middle School and Mr. Fleming for opening up his house, his home today for us. So thank you so much, Downey Middle School, as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Box. Sussman Pioneers, let me hear you. All right. We'd also like to echo what Dr. Box said. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to teach our kids these collaborative skills and really give them the opportunity to come out and shine. I'd love to thank my coach, Coach Gonzalez. Thank you for being here. And I'd also love to give our shout out to our team. I had to put it on my phone because I can't see. David, Ivan, Greg, and Miguel, awesome job. Sussman Middle School, are we ready to steal this trophy? Are we going to take this trophy home? We've got this. All right, Pioneers, let's go.
Thank you, principals. May the best school win this amazing championship. Thank you all for screaming for 3 matches. It's your energy that keeps this going. So congrats. We wish the teams the best. We're about to get started. Are we ready? Are we getting started? Ready? Guys, are we ready? All right, a couple more minutes.
I'm never prepared for these lights to come back down, but they certainly mean that it is showtime. I'm Becky, joined here by FBI Tugboat, and we are on the precipice of getting into our final match of the evening. Stauffer versus
Sussman right here. The Stauffer Spartans taking on the Sussman Pioneers. Guys, you scream as loud as I am and you just have this big head empty thoughts, and sometimes you say the words wrong. It's just going to happen. But yes, the Spartans taking on the Pioneers right here, Becky, and neither of these teams have come through here with a completely bloodless victory.
No, it has been insane to see both of these matches that brought these teams here. And I think it's interesting, and it makes the most sense, like, from our side to weave the story to make it so that this is like Sussman's like David to Goliath moment. Stauffer is certainly the team to be going into this. Last year's victors, the last people to bring home prizing. Who will be at this time? And what are the prizes, Tugboat?
Yeah, no, the prizes yet again for you folks. And this is just for playing a little bit of Rocket League on a Wednesday, right? $1,000 is going to be awarded on to the team, the school, that is going to be used for hardware within esports. They go forth, whether they have labs, whether they need new processors, video cards, whatever it is. It'll be video game related, and it'll be for that team. Now let's talk about the players themselves, though. Obviously, we're going to get a little bit of trophy action. The trophies that you see up here right now are not inscripted, because this is not scripted, and we haven't decided the winners beforehand. They are completely blank right here. We'll get them filled out for you guys, and they'll be sent back. Obviously, the school will be getting one as well. Those players will also be taking down Hey guys, what's going on? $100 here for GameStop, which I'm being to a 7th and 8th grader, that's just good as cash, right, Becky?
Oh, it certainly is. And to me, would still be pretty much as good as cash. I would be so excited about that now.
You didn't have to swing at that one. I put it out there. You didn't have to swing at it.
I couldn't not swing at it. Let's take a look. You can see our players getting ready to get into the final match of the evening. I mean, they look calm. They look calm as cucumbers. They're not worried about this at all. I would be sitting there shaking. I'd be like, it's all riding on this.
And they're going to kick me out of this middle school.
Yeah.
Something like that. The irrational anxiety would be dripping through mine and Becky's minds in this situation. Fortunately, or maybe not so fortunately, these competitions did not exactly exist when I was in middle school. I want to go ahead and get a personal shout out before we get to the end here. For everybody involved here with Downey, with the Unified School District here in Downey, with the coaches, with the players, of course, and the teachers and parents that are in the stands right now, because it is fair to say this does not exactly exist 18 years ago when I was in middle school and would have loved to play Rocket League with my friends. So how cool is that now that it is existent and some of these players can take advantage of?
Yeah, it sounds a little cheesy for me to say that I was kind of tearing up talking to a lot of these coaches, because especially you and I both have the same experience of not really having an experience where this was something that was cultivated for our generation. And it's beautiful to see a lot of these adults and kids really caring about it now. But right now, it's all about the kids. It's about these players, and it is about where we are sinking this ball first. It's Stauffer versus Sussman, and seeing who is going to get their names inscribed on that trophy.
Oh, absolutely. Undying honor and glory is going to be what is at stake here, as well as $1,000 in esports hardware for your school, as well as $100 per player as well for to be spent at GameStop right there. To be spent at GameStop. You know what I'm talking about. 45 seconds into this one.
Oh, wow.
And already a demo, but no scores on boards quite yet.
None on board, and back and forth between both of these teams. They've been passing, they've been stealing, there's been airtime, but it is anyone's match still. And we're starting to see a lot of players very spread out compared to some of the previous matches. Sussman previously also were playing very much as three in every single one of these interactions, and they've made a complete change going into this match where we're seeing them relatively spread out, and we'll see if that's going to be something that is a problem or a greatness for them as we stand near Sussman's goal, trying to see if we can sink it. But the offensive side of Stauffer push it back.
Yeah, problem searched by solutions right here, folks. That's a solid shot on, forcing the hand of the defense is never a bad thing. And a second shot, grounded ball. Does lightning strike twice?
It might if your name is Stauffer, who have a quick start to this match. I mean, once we started to see that collision happening, once it stopped being players back and forth on all sides, it happened so fast. And it feels like they really were just like trying to kind of gauge each of these other players, trying to see who was going to be the first one to pull the trigger, and Stauffer ended up being the ones on top here.
3 minutes to go here, 2 minutes off the board, and 1 goal in until now. Sussman with a tying factor, 2 minutes in to this competition, Miss Becky.
All right, and that's a great shot coming through there. Both of those offensive players pushing in to make sure that that ball gets sunk. Adaptations coming in from Sussman, and going to be a slow start here. The dribbling from this car, quite impressive, the control that was happening there. And if there hadn't been a quick aggression from multiple Stauffer members, that could have been a rough one.
The rough one indeed. Almost walked the dog all the way in, and almost a Rule 1 as well after the offensive blow. A little bit of back and forth with some Sussman offensive players as far as who is actually going to pick this ball up. Big boost in hand as Sussman sends this one flying on down. Stauffer continuing with their defensive stance. A pop play up, trying to meet it there, and almost does.
Yeah, I was going to say that collision of like 4 different cars in the air has to just be one of the most breath-holding moments you can have. A great little pop-up to make sure that that doesn't sink into the corner. And just a spooky moment, yeah.
4 players right there. What can I say? They're just imitating life. It's LA. It's traffic, Becky. It's traffic.
There is a lot of traffic on this field. I didn't know where you were going to go with that, but that was very
You with it? You
relatable.
with it?
I'm very with it. Stauffer, however, not with it. Sussman find themselves a second one there. A tricky one at that. Very nicely done.
Yeah, so a great job putting that ball right there, but that was an own goal ultimately, I believe. That's going to be Sussman now pushing this one ahead. 106 seconds to go, and Stauffer now winning the kickoff. I mean, we're going to see at least another Stauffer goal here. We're going to see a tying factor in game 1.
Yeah, Stauffer is certainly a team that has come in with strength, trying to defend their title, and certainly have the reps to show for that title.
Accepted pass down bottom is Stauffer looking to get it going in the offensive third their own ways. Sussman back here, no boost to be spoken of. That's a dangerous entering pass, and goalie pulls out. This is up and over, and just a little bit too far over the hood of an offensive player for Sussman, who is waiting in the wings and looking for blood.
Oh, and it looks like we are in poised position. That blood that you mentioned has come to the prey and their end here. Very nicely done from the positioning of Sussman and being able to secure that one.
Yeah, so if this ball is hit up any farther higher, it gets hit out by top bar, right? If it's any farther to the right, it gets hit out by crossbar, and we're still looking at a very manageable 2-1 situation, Becky.
Yeah, so far, Stauffer have done a good job of controlling it for as long as they can. It really just ends up being these moments when we're really 3-on-3, trying to find those final moments of control, and then it all just slowly falls apart. But Stauffer can't let themselves fall apart now when they're 2 rounds down, 30 seconds remaining. And they've really just got to see if they can keep this pressure, find 2 more, bring it into OT, and they're so close, just haunting outside of Sussman's goal.
14 seconds to go, Sam's hourglass, people, and with that last hit, I do believe there may not be enough time here. Shot up, If this is a complete clear the other way, it'd be a different story, but this game 1 is over. 3-1.
And into Sussman's favor for match number 1. Stauffer are going to potentially be quaking in their boots here. Stauffer was pretty close there. I thought there was going to be a moment where they were going to find one more little goal for morale. Not for the win, but for the morale there at the end. Narrowly unable to make it happen. And Sussman, strong start here as we're getting a lot of these supporting students here to cheer on their teams.
As the Stauffer Spartans right there holding that banner high after a Game 1 victory here, Becky. Let's try and break down a little bit of this because there were more clear-cut mistakes that some of these players were playing, both of these teams, in previous matchups, and the gameplay now in the grand finals has just been tightened up and those corners really cleared out in so many ways.
Yeah, as we mentioned, getting to see Sussman really change a lot of their strategies as opposed to keeping a lot of their offensive players all together, doing a lot more passing, and it kind of does break down into the difference of the people that you play against.
Yep.
And I think there's a beauty in being able to make those adaptations on the fly so quickly once you play against a new opponent.
Thinking on their feet, Becky. Maybe they got futures as casters.
Maybe they do.
Let's hope not, because I like working. We're looking at game number 2 coming down right now. Sussman Stauffer, $1,000 plus $400 in GameStop gift cards on the line right now. I want to give the space for the goal right there because I thought it was coming.
Oh, I thought it was too, but it is a great defense coming through from Sussman to deny that for as long as possible. Stauffer trying to put it back on, but it's not actually going to get past. It's going to grazing over, and it's just going to be kind of sitting idly in mid, trying to see who's holding on to possession here, grazing over the goal. But it's still anyone's ball here, trying to make those final pushes to keep it into possession. But all 3 Sussman players holding in position, but nobody's able to stop that goal.
I think you could have gotten 6 Stauffer players and nobody would have been able to get that perfectly slotted ball. This is right over the left side as we now see continued rotations of players here for our Stauffer Spartans. Continuously getting players in and out. Everybody on this squad, both sides, are getting playtime, Becky.
Both getting playtime, and Sussman were able to take that first one down and are really just going to try and hold here. I mean, previously when we saw Sussman play, we got to see them just be all aggression all the time. That's how they won their first match in the series before this. Will that be the case this time around again? Are we going to see them just bring this unrelenting gameplay? Or are we going to see them continue to make these adaptations? And so far, it does seem like they are continuing to adapt. They are playing a little bit further back now that they've found their lead.
Well, adapt or die, people. Adapt or die. That is no more true within the great game of Rocket League. A couple of Sussman players getting tripped up on the offense right here as that's a solid block, but puts it in the breadbasket of another player. Now off the wall right now, picks up big boost along their way, and that's a decent size clear for the Stauffer Spartans.
Yeah, a lot of these Sussman players just trying to do a really good job of marking each of these opponents, trying to make sure that somebody is always watching one of them and keep the possession in their favor for as long as possible. Beautifully done here as we start to see a quick movement. Nice block coming through from Sussman to stop Stauffer from being able to equalize here, and Stauffer just trying to keep this as breakneck pace as possible. Unfortunately, that demo does leave a little bit of an opening. Will they be able to make this recovery and hold on? It looks like so far so good. Stauffer not able to find themselves another goal, but they are at least able to deny of one other one from Sussman. And maybe I'm speaking too soon as a collision of 5 players is just trying to pile onto one another and make something happen.
5 players, 5 o'clock traffic. There's something there, Becky. I don't know what, though. 2.5 minutes or so of this game gone so far as Sussman has managed to hold on to that bare, slim lead. A great job by the Stauffer Spartans sewing up on the defensive side to get this ball cleared all the way out and start their own offensive onslaught.
I mean, this is one of those places where it seems like it would be bad for Stauffer, but Stauffer still have a lot of potential to just be able to get one more goal and then only have to worry about overtime. They really only have the stress of one goal in the next minute 40. But there is still some level of stress. Sussman, on the other hand, are just trying to play a strong defensive and kind of decoy game.
90 seconds to go right here. We are staring down the barrel, Becky, of our closest game, our lowest scoring game so far, 0-1 as of right now, and a relatively early score in that one as well.
Yeah, very true. I kind of wasn't even thinking about that. We have seen a lot of very high-scoring games between all of the teams that we've watched today, and this one very tense. But tense is exactly what Stauffer needs, equalizing with a minute left on the clock.
Nicely done. The Stauffer Spartans hold the line right here and get this one all the way in for another tying shot. 65 seconds to go. Do we think overtime, Becky? Are we calling it?
I don't think so. I think one of these teams is going to find one more. I'm not usually a fan of predictions, but I feel like no, you're okay. I feel like the way that we're seeing these teams play, the aggression that comes through when we're on an even playing field, I feel like it's just a recipe for somebody to be scoring. I don't know how it's going to go, but I anticipate a score in the next 43 seconds.
Yeah, that's a nice hit right here and a clear for the orange side, for the Stauffer side so far. Getting up to it, still catching flack. Sussman is not having an easy way in to get this one cleared until they utilize that left half of this field and get this one done. Walking the dog required, and see, we've been talking all day about how the double up on defense is not good. That right there is when a double up on defense was 100% required when this ball is so aerial and so unpredictable as it goes aloft.
And as you mentioned, unpredictable. Will these players prove me wrong? It looks like a final shot tries to come through, but narrowly not hitting the corner. We're staying in the air, but with 1 second left, it's not going to be enough. We do, in fact, go into overtime. But I will say I was close, though. I will defend myself.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, just an earlier game right there. Sussman up by 1. You can basically taste this one on the Sussman Pioneers' buds as they're trying to get this one to this left side and trying to get it cleared. A little bit of a back and forth on the defensive side, but offense can't quite pick this one up as now the Sharks are a-swirling. Speaking of, Sussman player taken out. That is not a good angle, and that is all but an own goal. The pressure's still here, and Stauffer can't keep it up.
Oh, a beautiful recovery from Sussman, bowling that back down. Unfortunately, the demolition just leaves that ball hanging. Everyone is back, trying to make sure that we're pushing this back. Will that be the final push necessary? It will be, and Sussman find themselves a second match in OT.
Wow, so game 1 goes to a 3-1 scoreline. 2-1 goes to a game 1 scoreline. We saw that, buddy. We saw that fall. It's all good. All the fans in the world right here as we are taking looks at our Stauffer squad as of right now. Back and forth right here. This one actually goes to overtime. Hey, it's our grand finals. We'd expect nothing less.
Yeah, we've gotten to see an overtime from every single one of these matches, too. So I'm just saying it makes sense that we're seeing another one here. A very close one, too, and I believe still, as you mentioned, one of the lowest scoring matches that we've seen so far in this 2-1. Sussman, though, very nicely using the timing of those demolitions to their advantage. And honestly, what a tense one. I thought for sure that Stauffer was actually going to be able to make the most out of those demolitions and push it back onto their side, but Sussman, aggression, the name of the game for them, and it's coming out nicely and showing up for them. Will it continue, and will they be able to hold on to this lead?
See, that's the big question as of right now, because well, they say in like American football, it's hard to beat a team twice. Well, folks, it's hard to beat a team 4 different times when you have these true neutral situations reset every single time. Taking it ever so briefly to the numbers, Mason. Stauffer Griffith went down to a 2-1 scoreline in same fashion in overtime as well. That was part of a series that almost went to a full 7, though, so it's not necessarily something that you can relate exactly here. But Sussman, no strangers to the situation as well. Their game 2 against Downey was a 2-1 scoreline in overtime that they did manage to take on Downey.
All right, so a lot of our teams not really afraid of the clock and certainly just trying to hold on to their cool, calm, and collected selves, really trying to just play the wall there as much as possible and really just watching where this is going directionally. A beautiful stop there from Stauffer and trying to push back in to not able to stop the goal. That was so close.
You see absolute elation on the face of this player, and just a protect the president situation. Get down! The diving for it. You don't have to influence the ball. That's already going where you need it to. You just got to take out the defender. Nobody's home for Sussman, and Stauffer puts up a score to take the lead for the first time in this series.
Yeah, lead here, and we'll see if they can hold on to it. I know that those players certainly have got to be feeling that pressure here. And Sussman, once again, just really pushing as hard as they can. And it feels like they never stop as pressure onto that orange side of the board from Stauffer. Just really it feels like we're trying to brute force into this situation in this corner, and it's just not working out for Sussman. Maybe this is a situation where we try to go push to the other side, and that's exactly what's happening here.
Pressure. Sussman, as of right now, playing from behind is a situation. Once again, folks, we have not seen them from. Oh my God! Oh my God, does it to them. Wow, and we see continued changes right here. Crazy stuff for Sussman. That's a perfect redirect right in front. Folks, you don't always have to come in at 100 miles an hour. It just has to come in like that.
Yeah, the amount of times that you every once in a while see like multiple demos, or you see that just like all of a sudden the ball gets hit in a direction and everyone's like, nobody's there, and the ball just like rolls in. Those are almost just as intense moments as some of these fly balls. And Sussman, just as we started to feel like Stauffer were in a good place to take a breath, wipe the sweat off their brows, Sussman says, nope, you've got to keep on running.
Yeah, so a lead turns into a tie situation, turns into a deficit now. Also, that's incredibly bad luck. What the respawn player comes back, comes in, they're actually going too fast to have gotten the block on the board right there. As it is plenty of time for Stauffer, these Spartans, to come on back.
Oh, really trying to play this corner and move this ball away, but unfortunately it goes back into possession of Sussman, who are trying to push things away from their side of the board as much as possible. That air is potentially detrimental, but we miss the shot. Stauffer not quite able to secure that setup. That one hurt.
That one stings from all the way over here, Becky. I'll tell you, I feel it myself. 8 seconds outside of halftime. Stauffer with a couple great looks so far. That one's actually not on point, but still played. Regardless, player was there, got the block. Now, halftime, waterfall down. Nobody there to dry up this stream.
Yeah, that's a rough spot to be. So many of these shots have been narrowly there, but just not able to bring it on home. Back to the middle of the map now, and all of our players trying to make these collisions, making some of these flashy air plays to try and get themselves a goal. But we're just trying to push. Is the pop going to be enough? Just not able to hit that corner. A nice hold coming out from Stauffer there, and good keeping of possession.
Yeah, the first a pop and then a stop right there. Fantastic job from the Stauffer, putting down a lot of pressure, staring it down, and coming out on the other side with possession. Shot across the bow right here. They're just letting them know still here.
Yeah, Stauffer doing a great job here, really playing this defensive game strong. It's just a little heartbreaking to watch when you know that they need to be aggressive enough to find themselves one more goal. All the defense in the world isn't going to win this game for them.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Stauffer is eventually going to have to adopt the game plan that Again, loss of 1, loss of 10, all the same. Pull the goalie here in about 30 seconds and see what you can see. Shake that tree and find what falls out.
Oh, really doing a great job of holding at least one player into that goal area and making sure that somebody is there as a backup plan should those other two move defensive players not make it through. Trying to take the shot, but every single one of the Sussman players moving into position keeps this situation safe. 45 seconds. Will this airtime be enough to find a shot? So far, still a struggle for Stauffer.
There you go. The Spartans cheers starting as of right now. Stauffer's got the influence from the crowd right here. Will they get it done on the pitch? How will that translate? Find out this and more next installment. Oh, that was almost everything. Stauffer with a hit, but it's not strong enough, Becky.
Not strong enough, but we'll see if they can still make something happen. We're at 10 seconds remaining on the clock, pushing towards the goal of Sussman. The corner is going to be your enemy, but the air could potentially be your friend as the pop shot comes up. But yet again, it's not enough. Sussman lead 3-0.
There you go. This is going to be a 3-1 situation. Game 1. Let's take a look at the fans. I can't hear you. There you go. Good stuff. Good stuff. Team on the back foot as of right now, but they got their coaching staff right behind, and they're going to be getting it figured out here for game number 4. But, I mean, I'd say figured out. Yes, it's 3-0, but as of right now, we're looking at a 3-1, a 2-1 in overtime, and a 2-1. This is not a shellacking. This is not a one-sided affair. This is not the Spartans just getting beaten up constantly throughout 3 games. This is an incredibly close series.
Yeah, incredibly close, and I think will continue to be incredibly close because you have to know, first, Stauffer came into this leading champions, have the most that can be kind of drawn from, most previous experience, most things that you can kind of study, see how they play. Granted, this time around, while we keep talking about Stauffer being defending champions, a lot of their players are different. So it's not 100% the same, but you can kind of rely on some of their playbook options that they have for them. And I'm interested to see if we're kind of seeing a little bit of wiggle room being given to Sussman, and if Stauffer are now going to pull out all the stops, now that Sussman are 1 match away from bringing this series and the trophy home.
Yeah, so what this game 4 means, either the beginning of a reverse sweep or a sweep as of right now. Stauffer knows it. You folks in the crowd know it. Sussman knows it. Now it's time to put wheels to pitch. Back down bottom. What just happened?
Oh, a very nice shot. I mean, I said maybe Stauffer was giving them wiggle room, but a nice little kick up coming through there. That was a beautiful shot.
A little pitch in play there from one member of Stauffer, just like that. I mean, we haven't seen more than 4 scores across any of these 3 games so far. That's the first one here and early for Stauffer. Now, they got the lead early in game number 3 right here and was not able to hold on to it even within regular time, but that's a fantastic situation. They have purchased themselves early in game number 4.
Yeah, any amount of relief that you can give yourself, especially at this tense point in a series, you've really just got to hold on to. And here I am calling it tense, and Stauffer's like, no worries, no concerns. Let's start us off 2-0. And that'll give us some wiggle room of our own.
Yeah, and this is one of the first, real definitive, obvious pass plays from one person into the next, even and especially when they are a little bit closer to goal or uncovered or not being covered by an opposing defensive player. Spartan suffers a brutal demo right there, right to the middle, and Sussman brings the score difference back to 1.
This is, for lack of a better term, a very bloody game compared to what we saw from the 3 to start this series off. We saw a lot of very technical plays, a lot of passing, a lot of very passive maneuvers, and this time around, they're driving like LA drivers.
Yeah, crazy, and like nobody else has to get anywhere. Down bottom, the little under pressure sensed off from Stauffer right here. They're starting this one. Nice pass, almost everything purchased from the pass right here. But now goalie has been pulled. A little bit of back and forth. That's going to be too high, and a great way to foist this one off to the left corner.
Yeah, and so it goes to those teammates trying to see if they can keep possession here while that goalie does go for a reposition after that pop-up. But it looks like Sussman trying just as hard to keep it onto Stauffer's side. Unfortunately, they are going to fall short, and the reposition from Sussman is going to put it back in this ping-pong situation once again.
Stauffer, solid hit, meets for it. This is going to be off point, but not for forever. Nicely done. Just playing this one off the backboard. 3 shots, 3 goals here for this Stauffer player.
Wow, and that was just this single Stauffer player who kind of set themselves up, was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead, go up, and then go under, completely outmaneuvers the Sussman player in that moment and is able to secure that 3rd point. This is the room that Stauffer needed to get themselves into reverse sweep territory.
Reverse sweep territory. We said it and you heard it. Shot over to the right side, and Sussman just not looking like their usual selves that they have displayed across games 1, 2, and 3. A midair miss right now equals out to perfect positioning here for a Sussman, or for a Stauffer player, excuse me. Now hit over to the right side, not ideal, not great breaks. But now just a couple of weird and short pass plays off the wall purchases a lot of space forward for Sussman to work with.
Yeah, good repositioning coming out there, but the passes back and forth are just really struggling to stay in one team's hands, which makes for great viewing for us, but from a player standpoint, you've got to be a little bit frustrated with, as we finally get to see a lot of possession held on to by these Sussman players, and only for the moment that I say that for it to go back to Stauffer's side.
Yeah, just like that, Sussman down bottom, 3 players come up to it. What a save!
And a great pass. Oh, okay. It was almost a great pass. We almost were able to catch it. The way that our cameraman aligned it up, I was like, oh, this is going to be sweet, as we stand very close to the Stauffer goal. And Sussman trying to see if they can go for an equalizing play here.
Nice hit, looking for off the corner and finds it. This is bouncing down back towards...
Oh my goodness, we're just back and forth and all so far away from the ball.
Another hit right there from the Spartan number 3. Plenty of boost to work with, but no other Stauffer players back, and now they are adopting.
Oh,
there you
right
go.
on through.
Perfect cut, and another shot, another goal here for the Stauffer Spartans. I think it's safe to say that this game 4 has had the groundwork laid, and perhaps the ending is writing on the wall.
I was going to say, and now we're starting to see the Sussman that we saw when they played their series before this one. We're starting to see the Sussman that was staying all as 3, and that's the moment where the opposing team was able to capitalize on that as a weakness instead of as a strength.
Yeah, and also, Sussman just so frequently pulls this one out, that's just not a situation where they're always going to play from behind well. That was about as close as the Sussman offense has gotten outside of their one and only goal.
Yeah, very close shot there, thankfully being saved from their side. And now you got to imagine that it's just Sussman trying to see what they can read into the Stauffer gameplay and Stauffer mindset. Because you got to be thinking, okay, we're only 1 point off of taking this series home. We probably can't win this one, but what can we learn about how Stauffer is playing this? And Stauffer on the other side of the board is like, morale, let's keep it up. Let's get these people cheering. Let's make another point and bring it to 5-6. And once again, the highest scoring match of this series.
Yeah, so what? For the 3-1 in game 1, 2-1, overtime game 2, 2-1, game 3 right there. This is, it is not proving to fail to entertain people. This game 4 is done. Now, the question remains, is this just a outlier? Is this an outlier, Becky, or is this a situation that the Stauffer Spartans have found exactly what they need to go forth here and take this series down in reverse sweep fashion?
I mean, if they play like they did in that match, I would say, yeah, no worries. There is a certain level of it, though, where once you get to that, like, 1-3 point, the opposing team does kind of do a lot of what we've talked about. Yep. You're just like, oh, this is kind of too difficult for us to recover from. So there is, like, a certain score line that's like, oh, this is just, like, extreme because the other team said, all right, we're going to focus on regrouping instead of trying to salvage an already lost game. So while you look at the score line and you're like, oh, yeah, Stauffer should be able to come back and completely stomp, from the Sussman side, you're instead just like, okay, hopefully that time was used to effectively communicate, and hopefully that time was used to, again, communicate something that is going to help us lock this one up as we go in. Sussman, once again, on match point, and going to try and stop Stauffer before they can bring it back. Stauffer, though, found themselves a point in their pocket, and they're trying to see if they can fill those even more.
Absolutely. Stauffer right here. Becking on the defensive side. A shot down bottom. Easily blocked away. That's a solid clear as well, Becky. So Stauffer should be able to get this one out the back. Okay, off the back of back. Gonna be very glad they had two defenders on that one.
Yeah, I feel like I'm losing my balance and I'm just like watching. But players nicely able to maneuver here, trying to make sure that we'll have enough momentum. But unfortunately, momentum doesn't matter if you're not in the right place to begin with. And Stauffer once again setting themselves up with a quick one here.
Yeah, so Stauffer right here, we were talking during the break a little bit about what these teams are simply doing right. Stauffer, it's twofold. First, passes have been hitting more so than they have in the previous games and their previous matchups. Second, this is just individual play that's reigning supreme. They're using this backboard and putting it up, and the defensive players of Sussman just simply aren't responding to it. They're letting that bop back down and trying to play the second hit, but it's just always going to be a second hit that's so fast and at such a wonky angle, it's hard to cover.
Yeah, but it does seem like Stauffer is doing a really good job of kind of letting each individual player shine, saying that, sure, our players are good, so let's just see if whoever has control of the ball is going to be able to continue to hold on to it. And so far, that's been a strategy that works out for them very well because each one of those players has been able to set themselves up for a goal when it's come through.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the waterfall action. Stauffer shows no fear right there.
Oh, okay. I was a little worried there, but Sussman is able to go swinging in for that defense, and now Stauffer's got to quickly zoom over to the other side of the board.
A demo right there seemed to have been setting up something beautiful, or the beginnings of such. Sussman on the offense as of right now. They've been faced in this situation 3 times so far in this series. 3 times they have been scored on against first, but only one of those times they came out on top.
And so far, very close to the Sussman goal. Once again, Stauffer trying to improve their lead, and Sussman just trying to play as strong of a defensive game as possible. All of their players hanging out together once again and trying to see if they can ferry the ball over towards Stauffer's side, but it only takes one member of Stauffer to completely dismantle that. But speaking of a dismantling, that demo is going to put a wrench in that aggressive Sussman play as we make quick rotations trying to follow this air ball for as long as possible.
Nice hit away. There's a relatively open net situation outside of that, Becky. 2 minutes and 11 seconds as we just see another traffic jam of players down here on the bottom trying to bring this one out. Nice hit, nose down. This is back to the corner against Stauffer as Sussman loses one via the demo and aggressive play. Down bottom, full 3 players here again for Sussman. Now, a hit up, plenty of boost, down bottom, and gets it!
Very nicely done. That's like a physics gamer moment. The moment that you're like, okay, I'm flying through the air, I'm making all these flips, and am I going to be able to make it that final little push so that my momentum is going to matter more than the defensive players? And it does come through. Sussman even it up and get themselves poised to strike once more.
That's a perfect summary right there, Becky, especially for those who don't understand. I've not necessarily seen Rocket League quite yet. So there's perfect physics within this, but it is a vacuumless box, right?
Yeah.
There's no air for the ball to cut through, so there's not curves on the ball and whatnot.
Yeah, a physics moment minus all of the real world issues that you would run into. Oh, okay. Some nice passes coming through, but it is Sussman moving back towards an aggressive stance on Stauffer's side, narrowly just hitting that side, but a nice recovery. Yeah, how did?
Hang on. Okay, so this comes.
All right, the replay. We need the replay. Oh yeah, from downtown.
Oh, off the hood. I thought this was corner, and I was confused as to how this wouldn't be sent way high north, but does come forth and hits. Sussman has purchased their lead back. Now, we've been talking about situations both of these teams have been in so far here, Becky. Stauffer has scored first in 3 of these games. They've lost 1, and now they've given up the lead in the first time of that outside of that game, right? They just came off of a game where they scored first and put these thumb screws to Sussman.
Yeah, Stauffer has to be clenching their fists right now, trying to make sure that every single one of these plays is exactly what they need. A Sussman lead. They're trying to see if they can bring the pain even more here between these two teams. And it looks like we
do have one player out right here, unfortunately, for the side. That happened at about 40 seconds, so we'll keep that in mind. But that is going to be another Sussman goal, unfortunately, folks. We'll get confirm on this. Yeah, we do have production folks talking a little bit about this because this player did go out before this goal was scored. We're going to come right back to us, and we're going to kind of give you an idea of what to expect coming on into the last 45 seconds of this. This is the deciding factor right here. This is the $1,000 game. This is the for the school, and the $400 game in the form of GameStop gift cards for these players as well. So we're going to get kind of confirm from our production folks as far as what exactly we're going to do, how exactly we're going to get back into this.
Yeah, when you do have something like a player kind of disconnecting or struggling with a lot of their peripherals, you do typically take a little bit of a timeout, make sure that they are fully situated. There is usually a time limit on this, but it is something just to make sure that the playing field is as even as possible for all members, and we're not just having the final match be resulted of somebody's controller not working as intended.
Yep.
But we do have confirmation that we're ready to get back into game and get back to figuring out who is going to be taking this trophy home. We are going to be taking away that point that was awarded to Sussman, but Sussman do still lead with 35 seconds and ticking down.
This is a very fair point here, Becky. Very huge shout out to our production staff for getting that one figured out quickly. But the situation remains the same. If you're Stauffer, that was the best situation, the best offensive scoring drive that they've had an opportunity on so far. 20 seconds to go here. Will Stauffer do it?
Yeah, they've got a lot riding on this 15 seconds, and it feels like they are moving so fast. They have so much ground that they need to gain, and every single pushback that comes from Sussman is just bones snapping. 3 seconds, and it's 1, and Sussman are going to take this victory, barring that staying in the air, and it is Sussman, your victors of 2023 Duel.
There you go. The 4 players just popping up and almost taking out their coach right there. Let's give a hand for you guys, the folks, the fans in the stands. A big shout out right there. And now, this is the most important part of the game. For one side, it is massive elation, Miss Becky. For one side, it is disappointment. But for both sides, it is meeting in the middle and shaking hands over the great game of Rocket League.
And great job, once again, to both of these teams. Stauffer performed amazingly. They had so much pressure riding on their shoulders. They had a title to defend. They had strategies that were set in place and were being dismantled by the other people coming to try and wrench that title away from them. And in the end, it is going to be Sussman who are going to be signing their names on that trophy this time around.
Absolutely. Sign their names on a trophy, sign their names on a check as well, because that is $1,000 going on to their esports organization, to their club, to their teams and whatnot, to go forth and be purchasing some fine esports hardware. Here's a classic stat for you guys right before we get you on out of here. This point differential is actually the exact same, right? Stauffer won their game 5-1 by 4 scores, right? That is the exact score difference between the other 4 games here, all of them by a single score. That has got to be a Heartbreak Hotel that is being checked into, given that the series score did, of course, end 4-1 for the side of Sussman. But Becky, I've had an absolute blast today. I've had an absolute blast. I think I've been screaming enough. Do you have anything else for the good people before we bid them adieu?
I just want to say a big thank you to the Downey Unified School District and everyone who is involved in this esports program. Tugboat and I have mentioned it so much, but we just didn't have this when we were that age.
Yep.
And so it's a big thank you once again to the school principals in Allison Box, Scott Fleming, Connie Quintero, Kathy Estevez, and the coaches Neil Gonzalez, Marlon Avina, Sandra Martinez Espendola, as well as Michael Martin, Elizabeth Cachon. I'm so sorry. Check on Laura Vingino, as well as Carrot and Steel Esports. I mean, there's so many names to thank. I could not even begin to talk through all of them right now. And I want to say a thank you from me personally. It makes me so happy to see. I have nieces and nephews. I love seeing that people their age are being able to grow up in a way that I wish that I could have. It makes me so happy, and it's really great. Thank you so much. That's all I gotta say.
Fantastic. Mr. Alan Zach, take it away. A picture into the finals here. There's our previous two teams as those two.
Ooh!
And our first. A couple of players. This one's going to hit
this could
against
be it.
feeling down bottom. Everybody there. And the Griffins have done it right.
Hold
on top of this last goal, but Stoffer bringing it out.
All right.
He's going to get on the board. There will be no
what'd we
sweeps
think?
for
Pretty
Diaz. They
exciting,
were
huh?
talking to me about just how much traditional sports have come up
Thank you
and
for
poured
listening.
all right there to
Great
completely
matches.
negate
It
the
was a
defense,
long game.
especially after Stoffer hits it again.
Oh, a great start here.
That either didn't go in or didn't land in a place that a player could have made in a place afterwards. That's going to be another. A solid little hit now comes up for it.
Beautiful shot to start Stoffer off.
Combinations and maneuvers and whatnot for both of these teams have been stellar.
And a shot through 3 players.
Be in here, Becky. Match point, lights and sounds, almost a double tap. No! Stoffer takes one
Here. But it is going to be Stoffer, the reigning champions, and the team going forward into the championship game. And kind of fluid play that we weren't getting to see so much before. That's so cool. Okay, I was about to say there's no way. 5, 4, 3, 2. Or is it going to be enough? It is going to be enough with 1 second on the clock. We're going into an overtime between these two schools. I mean, I thought that our last pushing hard. Is this going to be enough for Sussman to sink it? It hits the corner. Can we just hit it with the knockback? 1 second left, and it's unfortunately
They came off the back of coordination. What a save!
as possible, but there's no way with 1 second left that we're going to be able to bring it, and Sussman are going into the grand finals.
We got an all-S grand finals here, folks. That's a solid shot on, forcing the hand of the defense is never a bad thing. And a second shot, grounded to go here. 2 minutes off the board and 1 goal in until now. Sussman.
Prove me wrong. It looks like a final shot tries to come through, but narrowly not hitting the corner. We're staying in the air, but with 1 second left back, trying to make sure that we're pushing this back. Will that be the final push necessary? It will be, and Sussman find themselves.
Wheels to pitch, back down bottom. What just happened?
Oh,
Solid hit, meets for it. This is going to be off point, but not for forever. Nicely done. Just playing this one off the backboard. 3 shots, 3 goals.
side narrowly just hitting
Oh
that
my-
side,
what? How
but
did-
a nice recovery. Yeah, how did? It's just bones snapping. 3 seconds, and it's 1, and Sussman are going to take this victory, barring that staying in the air, and it is Sussman, your victors of 2023 duel.
There you go.